guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Okay, welcome back everyone. Anonymous Bites back. For me it's February 7, for the other guys probably still February 6, but tonight we will talk about, was it AI surveillance, Maxwell, Epstein situation.
Shitload of topics. I don't know.
Topics, yeah.
Let's go and scroll through it and see what's there, man.
Whatever, it was a necessary show. There's so much news. So. Go ahead, Steve.
There's so much going on right now, it's ridiculous. And hi everyone, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, and please help to share it around, right, if you're listening. Especially like Assange supporters and people related to that get shadow banned and censored a lot, and for some reason, especially when the show is live, it doesn't get like a maximum amount of viewers, but then later on it gets shared and it gets like a lot more views. They're obviously playing with that, especially like on Periscope now, but you guys, you can help with sharing it around, and also on other social media, it helps too.
So where to start? Maybe we
let's start in China.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we could start with the Chinese situation going on again with the Beijing warns off U.S. warships from South China Sea. Now, this actually occurred on Friday.
Go ahead.
So this happened again, and this time it was with the USS John S. McCain, and it broke. They say that the Chinese say that it broke into China's Yish territorial waters without permission of the Chinese government, according to a statement by Beijing's military, using its name for the disputed islands. Again, we've been talking about how China, the U.S., Taiwan, the Philippines, or not Taiwan. The Philippines, not Taiwan, have been kind of fighting over this disputed islands in the South Chinese Sea. And, you know, it's been going on since the Obama administration, when the Philippines was basically given the land in a court lawsuit, and China fought back and saying that, you know, they're not going to give the land, this and that. So, I mean, this has been going on for a while now, 10 years. Let's see.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, like, okay, so China has these claims on that sea in front of them. Well, that's a dispute between Taiwan and China, technically, and like, but I still feel it's weird that like the West, like America, Australia, and these countries are going there and like saying like you can't do this or that. It's so far away from them. It's not their shoreline, and I'm not a fan of China at all. But I mean, like, it's like the whole world.
The island is actually disputed by Taiwan, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam. and they've all been basically disputing this island for as long as it's been longer than 2010 or 2008, whenever it was. But it's been a long time, and they have been having these tussles back and forth for the past couple years, with the Freedom Navigation that the U.S. has been sending over there. It's called a Freedom of Navigation exercise, so they say, and they did it again recently, in late January, and they just sent another ship over there, and this incident happened on Friday. And the diplomatic pressure and economic pressure, as well as military pressure in that region, has escalated far past any type of events in our past. Like it's been pretty crazy going back and forth.
I'm still stuck on the freedom of navigation exercise. The phraseology there is just, oh man.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. It's one of the great ones.
Isn't that like Orwellian doublespeak? Like, sounds to me like Orwellian doublespeak. Like, you're like refusing the freedom to navigate for like other countries.
Right, and that's the argument too. That's you're actually right. That's they use that argument.
Yeah, isn't that true? It's like when the U.S. When NATO brings freedom to countries, they're actually not bringing freedom. Like, they're actually removing the freedom these people had. Like, even if they were poor or whatever, or living in bad circumstances, they were still free.
But the thing to say about this other event is that they did two separate things. First, they sailed through the Isha territorial waters, and then on top of that, they sailed the missile destroyer through a transit waterway separating the Chinese mainland and Taiwan. So this is trying to send a message. This isn't just freedom of navigation. This is the U.S. sending a message to China, and it's not a good message. It's a war message, and the Chinese military said that the U.S. is seriously violating China's sovereignty and harming regional peace. End quote.
I mean, I guess when you're the muscle for the Five Eyes, you can declare universal authority over the sea, and you have it until somebody deliberately stops you or challenges it. We knew towards the end of Obama's second term that there was going to be, or at least there was a sense that we were going to be entering a period of more open conflict with China. There was going. I think that what the Trump administration did with China is what they did everywhere else, and that's bring in this period of accelerationism, and oh man, if you look at the U.S. media right now, the establishment media, mainstream media, they are chomping at the bit for a Cold War with Russia or with China.
Yeah. For Russia and China. I mean, for Russia, it's been fucking since Trump was elected, right? But with China, it really seems like that's where we're heading. And yeah, it's amazing to watch this, how the media is cheering on essentially a Cold War, which will turn into a hot war very fast with China.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, there's a billion people in China. The thought of entering into any kind of armed conflict with a nuclear nation with a billion people should worry just about everyone. I mean, we should
Well,
be.
I mean, the Pentagon has came out last year and said that China would win in a war. If we went to war with China, China would win in a war. They straight up said that. They came out and said that, and I think they said that because they saw what Trump was doing. I'm not in the Pentagon. I don't know, but yeah, I think that they did that because of what Trump was doing and what the whole Trump administration was doing. Where
You're
they
talking about
organize these trade deals with Taiwan, and that's crossing the one China policy. And after that incident, right, the Pentagon came out, and I believe it was October of last year or November, and they said explicitly that if China were to go to war with the U.S., that the Chinese would win the war. And they said they were sure of that by like a certain percentage. I'm not going to say the percentage because I don't remember, and I don't want to be labeled as fake news or whatever. But I will say that they literally said, you can look it up. Look it up. The Pentagon says that China would win in a war. It was just October or November of last year.
Yeah, I and what's the alternative to, at least in terms of what the West is going to be sold to the public? What's the alternative to a Cold War turning into a hot war with China? And that's what a Trans-Pacific partnership that embraces China, which is something that I don't think anybody really wants.
Yeah. Okay. So I found the report here, and it says U.S. would lose a war with China fought in the Pacific. That's from Pentagon report. And I'm not going to read the whole report, but you can go look it up yourself. But they're saying here that China's military capabilities are gaining on the U.S. and may surpass the U.S.
Yeah. We saw this some time ago. We saw this, that the Chinese bought the technology for the stealth fighters from the USA. I think this is already like 9 years ago, for 50 billion. And after that, they started to mass produce these things themselves. This was under Obama, I think. And it had to do with a 50 billion cut on the debt the US had to China.
So they sold them stealth fighters?
Yeah, it wasn't even like hacked or whatever by the Chinese military. It was just sold, literally. It was 50 billion, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I'm sure you can find it on the search engines. After that, they started producing them, and they have a copy of the Joint Strike Fighter too, of the what is it, the F-22 too. They have copies of that too. I've seen them.
Right, that might be from Hacked Info.
Yeah, a lot is from Hacked Info too, but I know the stealth bombers are assault info. Hey, to listeners, if you're listening on Periscope, whatever, if you have like questions or things to say to put on air, just join in the YouTube chat. I mean, I'm reading that live, so we'll just say everything you're saying. Because I see a lot of you on Periscope, but I'm not following. Or if you're on VK too, it's the same thing. I mean, we also have listeners on VK. I know that. So just on YouTube, have a chat open.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, like what you're saying about how the Chinese are producing these fighter jets. I mean, they have way more advanced military tech by now. The Russians, this just for information purposes, the Russians actually do have robot soldiers now. That's like well known. So if the Russians have that, the Chinese probably have that as well. Or they're working on it.
The US has those too, but more for like transport, right? You have these transport robots, these dogs, these robot dogs.
Right. Yeah. No. These are actual soldiers. Like with like robot soldiers with like machine guns and shit. And I mean, they like China has been working on a lot of super soldier stuff for the past couple years, which they've been messing around with soldiers' DNA, trying to create super soldiers, kind of similar to what the Russians were doing when they were breeding human beings with monkeys.
Yeah, they actually
Yeah.
did that. Yeah, we discussed.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know. Yeah, they did actually do that. They didn't actually breed them. They crossbred them with DNA experiments and stuff. So not as disgusting as it could have been. But the Chinese, they've been creating super soldiers for years. A leak that kind of came out, a Freudian slip came out of Pentagon official not too long ago, was talking about the Chinese and super soldiers and saying that they had psychic super soldiers, and I was like, oh, all right, well we're revealing things now. The CIA, as we said before, the CIA was interested in Chinese psychic children in the 1970s, 80s. So now the Pentagon, somebody from the Pentagon has admitted that he thinks that the Chinese actually have psychic super soldiers.
Someone in the chat says MK Ultra, but that is actually a different program. But
No, that's a branch. The listener's right. That's a branch. It's MK Ultra, MK Naomi, MK Theta, MK. I can't remember the other one. There's 4 of them. Everybody always says 3, but there's actually 4 of them. I can't remember the other one.
we'll search it for you. No, Thor,
not
this
gonna
is not silly, Thor. I can see you in the chat. But it's
You're
not
not
silly.
going to find it. You will not find it because it has to do with the CIA and psychic experiments, and it was a project, or it was an umbrella project, above Project Stargate. I just can't remember what it was.
Okay. No, it's not the goal to fearmonger. We just explain about different programs they have.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing: the U.S. has it too. I mean, I guarantee they have it. If the CIA was doing those experiments back in the '60s, and also the OSI was doing it in the '50s, I guarantee they still have those programs. They're just renamed and under a different classification. That's all. I mean, they're not going to let the Russians and the Chinese continue doing those experiments as well. And they had results with Project Stargate and the whole remote viewing thing that they were doing in the military. It sounds crazy, but they had actual results from Uri Geller and who's the other guy? I know you said his name before, Steve.
I did, and I had to look it up in the middle of the stream. It was one of the Stanford doctors. But were you talking about Bluebird as the forerunner to Stargate?
No,
Because I know that
no. Bluebird is the forerunner to the assassination programs that the CIA had. I said, there's the umbrella. The umbrella is MK Ultra, and then under MK Ultra is MK Naomi, MK Theta, maybe MK Beta. I don't remember. I don't remember the fourth one is. I have no idea. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I dug into that, and the main point here is that each umbrella under these programs were all investigating something different that have to do with the brain. And one was metaphysical and psychics. The other was subliminals and mind control. And then there was torture and
Okay,
the
but
result.
the Stanford thing that Steve mentioned, that is in 1972, and that was done by three physicists, Harold Puthoff, Edwin May, and Russell Targ, and they initiated free response remote viewing experiments.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and that's what that movie Man Staring at Ghosts is also based on, right? Like,
Men Who Stare at Goats. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's also sort of based off of experiments the Nazis did, because they did that too.
Okay. Yeah, for the Nazis, there's something to say. They even used like occult things, but at the end of the war, you can argue that they actually believed in it. That is one thing. But you can also argue that at the end of the war, when they were losing on most fronts, that they were searching for desperate things. They were desperately searching for solutions to win a war.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
that depends on what historian you speak to, right? Searching for solutions.
Well, not really. I mean, it's kind of obvious that they believed in it, because they had Maria Ostrich, who met with Adolf Hitler, and she taught him about the about the Vril and Thule Society, and you also had higher-ranking members of the Nazi SS. Somebody said the name before, what it actually was called, Black Sun Rule or something like that. I forget what it was. But you had them worshiping an entity that they called the Black Sun God.
Yeah, this is
And this is like real shit. This is real information, and everybody thinks that it's not and doesn't realize that this exists. And then you had Hitler himself searching for all these like rare artifacts that who knows if they exist, who knows if they don't. He was looking for the Ark of the Covenant. He was looking for what's that scepter called? I can't remember what it's called. It's like a scepter with a snake around it. I can't remember what it's actually called.
What was it? Oh God, was it like Ra's staff or something like that?
I don't remember, but he was also looking for the Spear of Longinus, or also known as the Spear of Destiny. Like he had sent out an expedition looking for these objects. That's how crazy he was. So they were looking for these objects and looking for these powerful artifacts that they believed held some form of ancient power. And they believed that holding these ancient artifacts would allow them to win the war. Like, I'm not kidding you. That's legitimate information. It's part of the reason I believe that they went to Antarctica.
Yeah. The Black Sun.
Oh, to go find Hollow Earth.
Yeah, no, no, Schwabenland. They colonized an area and they named it after Schwabenland in Germany, and Neuschwabenland, and they did it by throwing flags from the sky, pretty much. And that's how they claimed the area. And then, they were also obsessed with that whole Hollow Earth thing. That's kind of weird, but it is
right.
Occult things. The Black Sun, like you mean, that symbol has 12 Sikh runes Like you have the SS symbol. Those are two Sig runes. Is their symbol, and that black sun symbol has 12 of those symbols in a circle, right? And it is a replacement for the swastika symbol, and it is invented by an SS officer called Wilhelm Landig.
Right, yeah, it's now today used by neo-Nazis, I know.
And by Satanists too. They still use it too, and they also use the Wolfsangel, the skull. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they use that specifically.
The Himmler was really into rune magic.
That's another one too.
He believed that there was a specific energy that could be channeled through placement and usage of Norse runes and symbols, and they did really weird. And look, I'm not judging anyone's theology. I'm not. Make that perfectly clear. Believe whatever you want to, but don't try to conquer the world over what you believe. Please. But no, dude, it's the Nazism and like occultism and Norse magic and shit. It's fascinating. It is, and all like AK saying, all of that shit is 100% real and documented, and just wild shit. It really is.
Years ago, and I don't know, nobody's gonna ever believe this, but I was searching on Google Video, and I came across a black and white video of the Nazis, and it showed like Nazi psychic experiments and everything, and there was a kid bending a spoon and a candle that was psychically put out. Like, it was fucking crazy. Like, I don't know what the hell this was, and I can't find it ever again. But it looked legitimate to me, and it was back in like before 2010. So I have no idea, man. Like, I found this video on Google Video. Google Video is no longer around. They dropped it, and Google basically bought YouTube. But yeah, this video was crazy, and they also had electrodes on a girl's head, and it was similar to the MK Ultra stuff that the CIA did. Where they put electrodes on people's heads. Now, the CIA, what they were doing was different. They were putting electrodes on people's heads to try to trigger trauma-based mind control. And they did all sorts of different things for that. They did shocking with electrodes, certain parts of the brain. I think it was the neurological receptors. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And they also would strap people down and make them watch shock videos. And that's something we saw actually come out with NXIVM as well, too. So, I mean, all these, like, crazy experiments and everything from our history, it all leads to the Nazi scientist over there. They were doing all those experiments. We brought them back over here under Operation Paperclip. And then they continued their experiments like nothing ever fucking happened. And we wanted the knowledge just as much as the Nazis did. And, they continued their experiments under MK Ultra. And, without bringing Wernher von Braun over here, we would have never had a rocket go up in space before the Soviets.
Are you familiar with Tom Lehrer?
No.
Okay, so Tom Lehrer was a mathematics professor at MIT and Cambridge, and he did like parody songs on the piano, and he went on to do like a bunch of like kids songs, and he wrote songs for the Electric Company, the show that was on PBS when I was a kid, and he did songs for the Animaniacs. He did the Periodic Table of Elements song, is Tom Lehrer. And he wrote a song called Wernher von Braun, and it is absolutely hysterical. And this is like the 60s when Lehrer wrote it. But it's like, it's and one of the great thing about Tom Lehrer is all of his music. When he for his 92nd birthday, he released everything that he has done into the public domain, so we could play it right now and not get a copyright strike.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, the dude's hysterical. He wrote The Masochism Tango and Poisoning Pigeons in the Park, and other love songs. Yeah. Nothing. Come on.
I know the Poisoning Pigeons in the Park one.
That's Tom Lehrer. Yeah, wonderful human being. But the Werner von Braun one is particular. Like, I mean, she's straight out calling out Operation Paperclip subtly, and then also the flexible allegiance of people like Werner von Braun. And this, again, is in the 60s, and like the last line of the song is, "And I'm learning Chinese," says Werner von Braun.
And I'm learning Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's another guy who headed MK Ultra that was also a part of Project Paperclip. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He was heavily involved in MK Ultra. Can't remember his name at all. I'll try to look it up, but yeah, I mean these guys, they were all doing these experiments for the Nazis, and then they brought them over here to continue the experimentation. That's all how it went down.
Yeah, it's the Nazi draft is what I usually refer to it, because it wasn't just the U.S. Every allied nation was, and Russia too, was, offering these guys whatever they could, the ones that they couldn't get safe haven to, and places
Zealand,
like Argentina. Yeah.
A lot of them went to Pine Gap, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I just got to see when Pine Gap was actually created. Let me just look this other thing up real quick before I forget.
Thor, I can see you in the chat. If you want to come on, you can just come on. But you have to be online on Discord instead of bitching in our YouTube chat.
No, what is he bitching about?
No, he's saying an anonymous live stream, but I know what he wants to do. He wants us mention the anti-lockdown stuff, and he's grumpy about it. But he's welcome on our show. I mean, like, he's been on air before. You have to come online on Discord first, Thor, then I can talk to you. I can see you online. You have to message me in a DM. And we didn't block you from the server. We have like a different server every time. You have to send me a DM and I'll add you in, and you can just come on air. Okay.
I'm still looking, so you guys can talk. This is gonna take me a while to find.
Okay, I'm adding Torian too. He wants to come on air.
You said that like you don't want him to come on.
I want it, but I want it, but he needs to be professional. He's already laughing.
I remember. Okay, so it's Sidney Gottlieb. He was the end.
Gottlieb.
Yeah. He was the CIA and SS and he was involved in MK Ultra.
Okay, he's in the thing now. You can just jump on Tony Bear, whatever. See, that wasn't too hard, was it?
1, 2, 1.
See?
Oh wow, I'm so impressed, dude.
Yeah, I know what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the solutions. So when you start about it.
Well, aren't we just gonna talk about like fear-mongering stuff?
Yeah, but after that we're offering the solutions, right?
Well, do you have any solutions then?
We need places where we aren't censored, Thor. You know, I know you're active on these Facebook pages and stuff, but I can't even be on fucking Facebook. You know that.
What? Then I'm going to repeat myself. If you can't keep a Facebook account, you have no right calling yourself anonymous, dude.
No, I know, but I lost like 43 accounts on there. I keep losing the stuff.
Wait. What did you just say?
You heard me. Well, you get him on Facebook then.
All of the Annans who are using Facebook aren't real Annans. Because they...
Oh, God, don't come here with this shit. Did you want me to address that? Delete Facebook. Delete Facebook didn't work, dude. Okay? There's still 2.7 billion people on Facebook, and you want to sit here and talk to me about not being a real Anon?
Well, I mean, come on, man. Like, Facebook fully data mines everybody. More so than Twitter.
Well, Discord works for fucking elites, and just didn't you get the whole GameStop thing? Did that pass you by?
Oh yeah, no, Discord. They banned the Wall Street Bets Reddit, like, and said that it was hate speech.
Yeah, making money for normal poor people is hate speech now.
Well, yeah, I mean, where do you? It's been that way. The masks are off. They're comfortable letting everybody know. More so than they've ever been, because this is a period of acceleration. This is a fucking unified cash and rights grab. And this is something that transcends politics or ideology. If we're to resist this or to stop this, we need to fucking drop
together.
whatever it is we've been bitching about for you know,
we need to pool our resources together, people. We can't be sitting on, you know, each our little anthill and you know, telling people we're Anons. We're going to be extinct in very short time here. But yeah, join us in the big streaming network. We're reaching thousands already. We need people on Facebook, on all these different platforms, connected and talking.
I think we're using like every platform except Facebook now. Like, but you know that this wasn't voluntarily either. I mean, we were streaming to that Facebook page too, but the episodes don't even process anymore. They hang in the processing door. So
yeah, but that's why we keep on changing up the pages and adding new pages and just cross posting, and you know, we'll chuck you in everything. Just get us one person, you know.
we'll
That's
discuss
all I'm
this.
saying.
Now the others, you have other solutions too. Now we'll discuss this later. You have other solutions too. Yeah, you want to have these anti-lockdown protests and stuff, right? And I don't want to silence you on that. So.
Well, yeah, you've seen a little of the anti-lockdown protest. The people involved in those protests are usually a mix of you know, peaceful and non-peaceful people. So that's always a problem. You know, I wish they would go, you know, into some political active union, but That's not easy, you know. But protesting, petitions, etc., that's kind of our only weapon against the ruling elite right now. Do you have a better solution? I'm all ears, dude.
Well, the second you use violence, they immediately strike you down hard, right? You don't have critical mass, so you will be like, beaten up every single time. Because you don't have critical mass yet for some reason, because people aren't educated on everything that's going on. Like,
Well, and everybody's siloed in their own little algorithmic sensor bubble.
Yeah, that's
We don't know that there are other. Yeah, it's incredibly, from at least from my perspective, from the activism that we're doing at Action for Assange, it's we've been having some success recently just by like directly approaching heads of other organizations and saying, "Hey, can I come talk to your group?" But in terms of like cross pollination in the digital space, it has been incredibly difficult to break the silo. So if anybody has any suggestions for how to make that happen, that would be fantastic.
Well, this is a start here. You let me on, so I'll give you that credit. Thank you very much. So we're communicating. You know, that's step one. And we want everybody to come in and communicate and share their ideas and that kind of stuff. Step one. Talking.
we also need a different way to just like we discussed it like 2 days ago on air too. Like, instead of just using internet, we need to also use like the real life stuff. Like, we need to have like paper boys put in like a flyer in between newspapers, right? Put stuff in buses and trains and put flyers on the streets again.
Yeah. Do people read newspapers?
Yeah,
People only read headlines, so if you give them a headline, then they might read that. That's
No,
about all we
I'm
can expect
seeing,
out of
I'm seeing
anyone,
the intro from Superman, the movie here. Like, yeah, he picks up a newspaper, he reads the news. Nobody does that anymore. We need online stuff, you know?
Yeah, he has a point there, Mark. Nobody reads newspapers anymore. Most of the newspaper businesses have either started to or have gone out of business.
Yeah, my point is like you have people watching TV all day, right? And they get like these repeating commercials the whole time, or these repeating messages, and it like brainwashes them in such a way that they just believe everything. And it's also these simple one-liners. And to beat it, you actually need to like re-brainwash them. Like, you need to like deprogram them from it, and you need a combination of things.
Yeah, then I think we might need you know, more skills than we have currently. We might need some experts on the team. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to do this. It's all like stabbing in the dark here. You know, we hope people are listening, but we should have some MK Ultra Nazis on our team. You know.
Well, I mean, you'd have to dig up the bodies of them by now because they're all dead.
Well, that's what they want you to think. You know, they taught a new generation and a new generation all this stuff. You can just imagine what they're doing today if they did that back in the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. But the actual like originators of all this shit, they're dead by now.
Yeah, of course, but
Oh, there's probably a couple in South Africa managed to hold on.
Now, no, man, they're like 99 years old, maybe
yeah,
more.
but have you seen how old people get? Down in South Africa, they get 100, you know. So he might have a point there, but yeah, at the end of the day, that's not what we're after. We're after the system if it's still active. We want full disclosure, we want transparency, we want information right now. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I fully agree with that. I think that at least without the ability to inform people, we're well fucked and far from home. And I also agree with Lubers that we need to go low tech too. I don't think we have the luxury of turning down options. I don't. We're currently organizing a Clovers for Assange Day of Action on March 17th. And we would like to make that memorable and absurd. And I mean, like, I'm talking like, stilts and puppets and shit if we can. Like, did you know that you can apply for and receive a permit for direct disruption of service?
Well,
Yeah.
No, that's pretty funny.
Did you
Ain't it
know
though?
that? Did you know that you could just march right in there and demand the guy get released?
I can't because I'm having a dispute with the State Department over the current status of my passport, but I have encouraged people to at least go and camp out in front of Belmarsh to violate whatever lockdown orders there are, to show up in mass and not leave until there's at least the kind of international outcry that demands actual attention. Nobody's gonna. Julian Assange doesn't get out without a Mandela fucking moment, without that kind of movement, without that kind of international attention.
Well,
Because
yeah,
this is the Five Eyes putting their fucking boot on everyone's throat and using him as the example to do it.
Yeah, and for people listening who should happen to be in the vicinity, you will be viewed as heroes when you break him out of prison. I will see to that personally. Oops, was that out loud? Sorry.
You need some kind of like shock effect also on that thing, and with Steve there, you need to like shock the world into that everyone sees something, like that there is like a gathering or an event that they can't ignore, right? Something big. It hasn't
Well,
necessarily.
maybe people will be a little more sensitive to actually being locked down now they have been locked down for over a year, or close to a year. I mean, he's been in lockdown for years and years. They have to understand how that takes a toll. It's torture, and he doesn't really have anything, hovering above him that makes him a criminal. He did something that a reporter would have done with a
He
conscience.
still doesn't have his winter clothes. For fuck's sake. They haven't let him have his winter clothes yet. Stella Morris tweeted that out today. He got them at the end of September.
That's what I'm saying. He's been
Well,
treated
that's
like a
good.
dog.
They're using any type of thing that they can to torture him, whether it's psychological torture or just not giving him his clothes or blankets or heating. You're using anything they can to basically dehumanize him.
Yeah, and
at
if
the
I was
beginning of
Assange,
the-
I would say, come and break me out, people, like before I break completely. I might have some information you want still,
At
But
the
as
beginning
as
of
an
the
example to the world.
At the beginning of the Assange vigils, we read off the numbers of how many days Julian Assange had been detained and how many he's been in Belmarsh, and we're now in the UK on day 666 since Julian Assange was trafficked out of the Ecuadorian embassy and thrown into Belmarsh.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You mean it's exactly 666 days now?
It has been 666 days in the UK or in Europe. But still, I got 3.5 hours here before it's 666 for me.
Are
But
you ready?
yeah, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
Well, that's a good answer. Anyone else?
Yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you know what it is, Thunder Bear. Like every day, we try to like wake up people to that situation, and some people give up their entire lives for it, right? I mean, it's like hours and hours every day, if you think about it. And I can see like we need a way out, like to like increase it exponentially fast.
Let's be honest, people. We need money.
Well, I mean, if there was a protest out front of Belmarsh during a lockdown, and you know the response from the cops, they're gonna beat the shit out of all those protesters. I mean, you'd be a sacrifice if you went there, but it would show the whole world what's going on. I mean,
Just say, Black Lives Matter, and nobody will touch you.
yeah,
No, because we just, the New York Times just today finally admitted that in this new round of investigations on domestic terrorism, they're going to include all of the left-wing groups. And I know the Black Lives Matter is the leadership is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party. I know that, but the actual on-the-ground activists, a good chunk of them are there because they want to be a part of a street protest because they perceive a wrong in their community and they think this is the way that they can do it is through this organization. So misguided as they are, they're still going to get lumped up into this potential domestic terror legislation. Like the whole scope of protesting is going to change drastically, which is why I think we have to capitalize on this like downtime right now as much as humanly possible.
it's not really downtime. I mean, look at what Biden's doing with different laws and everything, proposing a domestic terrorism law, and reviving and not just reviving, but accelerating the Patriot Act, like way further than the original act. I mean, like, he in his career voted for, I think it was 3 different bills were related to terrorism, domestic terrorism, and anti-terrorism laws, and some of the things that he voted on are some of the worst laws that were ever written, including the Patriot Act, but also he voted on a bill. It was called the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act. And this was actually deemed one of the worst statutes ever passed by Congress. And he helped pass that. So, yeah.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, they're all one team on the top there. You know, it's going to be in their favor to go after the right and the left, as long as it's like freedom of assembly and all that kind of democratic stuff they don't like.
What people need to remember is that the elitists on the left and right fund various different groups, and they do it not for your benefit, but they do it for chaos and profit. And they funded. There's some elitists who funded far right movements, and there's some elitists who funded far left movements like Black Lives Matter or Antifa or any of them. It doesn't matter. Like, they all get some type of funding from the people on the top, and people like somehow think that any of these groups are like grassroots. There might be a grassroots feel to it, maybe in the beginning, or maybe somewhat, right? But the reality of the situation is those types of groups are getting funded by people with deep pockets.
Well, then we make a come together thing, then like unite in the fight against the elite. We are not 2 different teams, we are one team. And that kind of stuff.
Well, everything was, over here, I'll just say over here in the US, everything was divided beyond any type of repair with the whole Trump election and everything that went on during the Trump administration, and the media pushing various different things. I mean, the division now over here in the U.S. is wild. It's
at least on TV. You know, that's the problem. That they control what you see and hear. So, you know, even though it's just a handful of people that did that, you know, insurrection, whatever thing, you know, it looks like it's the entire right wing or whatever. But it's just a stupid media war. And
What it is, or at least my theory of what it is, I call it manufactured confusion, and the basis for this is that Chomsky wrote Manufacturing Consent 30 years ago, a little bit more than 30 years ago now. Consent was manufactured by the time the ink was drying on the Patriot Act, and the role of the media in the last 15-20 years has been to manufacture confusion, to just barrage people with these counter-reinforcing narratives and get them all to essentially support a functioning, ever-increasing towards totalitarian state, but to believe that it is their team that is going to be the good guys in this ever-increasing totalitarian state.
That's what they make, teams and mobs and that mentality that goes with it. If they can get you to fight, the left or the right, then you won't be fighting the top. This is a top and bottom thing, not a left and right thing. And when people get that, we will start, going ahead with this. Right now we need people to unite. They're a fucking elite of, call them what they want, like pedos and blood drinking reptilians. I don't fucking care. They're a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you're right on that. The people in power make the left fight the right, and endlessly, well, they stay out of the picture.
Right. Yeah, it's a distraction. So people don't pay attention to the real problem. But I honestly disagree with calling them reptilians or fucking even the word elite, because that gives them power. Like saying that they're not human. I mean, that gives them a lot of fucking power. I mean,
they're a kind of reptilians. They think a lot with the reptilian part of their brains, like instinct and fear and that kind of stuff.
I usually run with Predator class for these fucks.
There's many things you can call evil, but it's evil.
It is, and you're also right there. They are focusing on the primary instincts of humans to manipulate them, and that is that reptilian part of the brain. They use fear, right? Yeah, and they use hunter mentality too on people.
That's also why they years ago were experimenting with trauma-based mind control.
But look, they use the fear. Fear is very powerful, right? It makes you look up to people in power and ask them for solutions to protect you, right? It is like in a cult or in a herd of animals. But they also use, for example, the genetic hunter mentality of humans, and that's how they use it with propaganda. They dehumanize their enemies and make them animals, right? You have the Russian bear, for example, and it because it's very hard for people to randomly hate other people and even kill other people. But if you associate them with animals, you go into this reptilian, the primary instincts of people that actually makes people want to wage war with others. They know exactly how they work.
That's why they, when the whole war on terror and everything, they compared them to animals.
Yeah,
if you do remember that, they actually did use that word, saying that the Al Qaeda terrorists were animals. Say that.
Americans did it with the Irish. They depict them as apes. Hitler did it with Jewish people. They depicted them as rats in propaganda. These are all basic dehumanization tactics. Even in World War I, the Americans depicted Hitler as the German as King Kong, literally dragging this blonde lady with him. So it's always been used.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you've seen that, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and going back to the whole fear-based programming thing, when you're in a fearful state, your mind is essentially open to being programmed. And they found this out through various different CIA scientists. I can't remember all the names, but
Well, I would say they reaffirmed it because this is something we knew already. They've been torturing people and turning their minds for thousands of years, and that's how you just torture and torture and torture somebody until they don't have a personality left, and then you offer them a hand. It's like, come to us, we will, make you into a person again, and then you just accept anything your torturer gives you. That's how you control somebody's mind.
Yeah, and in the cult setting, cultist groups always have to repeat that they are being attacked from the outside, and you see this also. You see this in media society too. But yeah, the cult mentality is that you have to continuously pretend you're being attacked from the outside, and that the alpha, the leader of the group, will protect the rest. If you just give the alpha more rights and more capabilities to protect you, right? By restricting your rights, by having more surveillance, because of course the alpha in power needs to know what is going on, so he needs to be able to surveil everything, right?
Yep.
And every time that a strongman comes to power, and that strongman does what all strongmen do, which is subjugate and torture and abuse his own population, and they get him out, they always get in some like neoliberal fucking just garbage technocrat who manages the savagery with a grin, right? Accidental shout out to Max Blumenthal in his book, I suppose. But it really it's this give and take, little carrot, little stick of a far right wing strongman and smiling neoliberal middle management type that doesn't really want you to be homeless or bankrupt because you have medical bills, but golly, governing is really hard work, and sometimes we have to make sacrifices.
So
That's why.
Does anybody actually see the problem here?
I mean, I see several problems, but what's your take?
What is the main structural problem?
A centralized authority.
Yeah, and representative politics. where I get to choose somebody who makes a decision for me, instead of me, being a part of the decision-making process directly. Because that's what I want to do. I want to be part of, making that law, or, making that decision politically, not just letting some suit do it for me.
Public policy debate in the West as a thing really is dead. We have was there a shred of public policy debate over masks or over lockdowns? Is there a shred of public policy debate over the Great Reset? Is there a shred of public policy debate over forever wars? Or the role that private military contractors play in global everyday fucking chaos? Like, no public policy debate over that. And until people, I don't know, fucking realize that having agency doesn't mean I vote once every 2 or 4 or 6 years. But it means you constantly struggle to regain, claim, and secure that agency. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, and like you said, agency and group and team, and it's all about empowering your team now, instead of empowering whatever you want, to have changed politically. So it's a trick. That team might put anything into politics. You just have to hope they're on your side, and then you can go bitch on TV when they don't do what you want and say, oh, they're liberals or they're right-wing crazies or whatever. It's the same game over and over and over again. I want direct democracy. And even though many people like to call it anarchy, it would be anarchism more than anarchy. But yeah, that's us, people. Cricket.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm on board. I can tell you I agree and you're right. If that'll help.
yeah.
Let's try to like team up with the direct democracy people and see if we can't get anything going. Try to actually explain to people how this would be basically like clicking on your phone anyway. You could make like 100 decisions politically in a day.
Do you know about Iceland, Thor? They have that e-democracy thing there, right? The Pirate Party in my country, in one area in Amsterdam, they actually won the elections and they introduced that direct democracy thing. Now, they didn't win anywhere else, but because it was so successful in that part of Amsterdam, I think 45 different regions actually adopted that direct democracy thing. And they don't vote for any person or whatever, just about specific policies, right? Specific ideas, yeah, whatever.
Don't you know these people? Bring them on, dude. We should listen to them.
No, I had that Matthijs guy on. He's the leader of the Pirate Party in my country.
Yeah. But
that's exactly how it should
bring him
be.
on. We can bring him on the bigger network too, and
What do you mean the Facebook stuff? All of us are not on Facebook. We're fucked up there.
I know, but we will make it work. I can set up secure accounts for you and stuff externally. So.
You know what you actually came up with this, right? I was making an account and you did that too, and they could actually recognize our mouse movements.
Yeah, I know, but then that's when you start employing other people, other mouse movements. You have to be strategic here. I know, they are the masters and we are the amateurs. That's the problem. But we're learning.
When Facebook is tracking your mouse movements, it's time to get off of it.
But they track they put all that metadata into a pattern that is your unique pattern, like a fingerprint. That's the problem with computers. They're smarter than humans.
You have 2200 identifiers, and it includes your mouse movements. Yeah. I was shocked by it too because there was no other explanation. I had an account because on the other side of the world I was using a server to make it, and we made fake IDs, everything, and
yeah, I just heard the nerds talking about this, and I thought, maybe that is actually what they're doing, and then after actually testing that, yeah, it does seem like that's the way they find you, so. Yeah, full disclosure again. This is, if not illegal, at least borderline illegal. When did we ever have a discussion about using metadata to make electronic fingerprints of people?
I mean, it's a fair question. I feel like it's gotten so far out of hand that so at the forward the cypherpunks, Julian Assange says our task is to secure self-determination where we can, to push back the coming dystopia where we cannot, and if all else fails, to accelerate its self-destruction. And there are days when I feel like we've pushed back against the coming dystopia, and there are days when I feel like we have to accelerate the self-destruction.
Yeah, that's the.
I don't know.
problem.
Where are you guys?
I see, the possibility for us to halt the problem. It's not a big rock rolling at us. We are the rock ourselves, so it's just a matter of stopping our own self-destruction. Why does the snake bite his own tail? Because the snake is so stupid it thinks it's another snake it's attacking.
Well, I mean, back to your question about when did we vote for them to use our metadata for a digital ID. I mean, when did we vote to allow them to use our camera? They can literally access your phone camera or your web camera directly from Facebook and turn it on and off.
I know, and you click on a button that's giving them permission to do that when you enter the Facebook contract. So yeah,
Right.
read the fine print. What I'm saying.
Okay, I see a lot of responses about direct democracy in the chat. Yeah, well, it has been tried in some areas. Like in Iceland, I think it's pretty successful to. I'm not sure about Switzerland. Do you know anything about that, or any of you?
Well, I've heard, the general architecture is close to direct democracy as such.
They're bottom
and
up too,
like
right? They vote like in the city, and then when it's like accepted, it goes higher up.
Yeah, as far as I know, they just passed a referendum that pretty much ends the whole lockdown thingy. I don't know if they got it through, but they got it up at least. I have to look into the actual everyday workings of that system to know how it went, but that is pretty much what we're talking about. A system that is more in the hands of the everyday people instead of an elite on top.
Yeah, but see, well, I'm asking it because when you say like there is like when you say anarchism, people affiliated with like people who only throw Molotov cocktails, right? They don't affiliated with people who do direct democracy, who decide together about like issues instead of having a leader decide for them, right? And it's very handy to use good working examples to make them less scared.
Yeah, I'll come back, better armed with all the details of the Swiss system, but like in short, it's a system that is more in the hands of the voting mass than it is whoever is on the representative side. A representative is not, a totalitarian leader like it is in, some other places. But yeah, variations on this system. It does work. It's not something that will lead to chaos. Switzerland is one of the more peaceful places on the planet. So, yeah. Let's go, people.
I think Iceland is a pretty nice place too. I mean, they got things working there. They threw the bankers in jail when they messed up.
Yeah, but that's like a fantasy country, though. I don't know if
Oh
it's
no,
really.
they hung the bankers. They didn't only throw them in jail; they hung a lot of them.
What do you mean they hung the bankers?
Yeah.
They didn't hang the bankers. No.
Yes, they did.
They're pretty much descendants of us, Scandinavians, and they don't hang people. Sorry.
You're talking about Iceland, right?
Yeah.
I think what AK means
Iceland.
is that the bankers mysteriously were hanging themselves.
No. They literally hung Rothschild bankers years ago. Did you miss that?
Maybe you need to find the link then, because I missed that. I did. Like But there's a lot of stuff I missed. I missed when the reptilians landed and took over planet Earth too. But that's also on the internet. And the Earth is now flat, according to a lot of people. I missed when that happened too. There's a lot of changes every day.
They jailed. Okay, so they jailed some of their bankers, and then they prosecuted them and hung them for some reasons. So that's what they did. I'm looking for it, but that's what they did. I think they jailed like 30 some bankers or something like that, and they hung the one that they.
I think you're like in Saudi Arabia or something. That we don't do mass hangings. Like, come on, dude. I will shut up when I see this in real life.
Okay, well, I don't think there's capital punishment in Iceland, but I wouldn't be surprised if some bankers hung themselves in jail and some bankers died in mysterious circumstances. No, I wouldn't be surprised with that.
That's something completely different.
Yeah.
We don't speculate. If a banker dies, a banker dies. That's how nature works. We don't go into that. But I don't know what to say anymore. Like, well, we did put the evil into power ourselves. We have ourselves to blame for this.
It goes in very small steps, so the masses won't really recognize this unless you have been through it before, I think.
I think one factor that needs to be taken into consideration is that a lot of these people have been corrupted by the power they have. Something happens in the human brain when they get too much power, and it's not always pretty, and it's seldom functional. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen enough dictators and regimes to recognize this stuff. But I don't think even a representative or like a handful of people would actually avoid that corruption. We need to flatten the system completely and have no top.
I'm just reading through the chat. Yeah, power. Of course, when people are in power, it corrupts them, right? Some would say they are already corrupted before they get in power, or they wouldn't be allowed to actually be in power, right?
Yeah, but then that's...
No, I mean, like they're part of these
how it
organizations,
works.
right? These blackmail organizations, and you know what I mean, like the whole Epstein stuff.
Yeah, we just have to construct a system that doesn't let this happen again and again. And that is a scary thought. And a lot of people, especially with money and power, will scream communism, communism, or even socialism, as stupid as that sounds. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's pretty much what we need. A system structure that is equal for everyone. So yeah, let's get working on that.
Yeah, okay, well, you don't have to talk about the economics of socialism, but you can at least make sure everyone has an equal vote, has an equal voice in the system, right?
Yeah, that would be the first part. But right now, we're not even allowed to assemble. That would be one of the most basic premises of democracy: freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of movement as such. But if we're not allowed to assemble, then we can't make, new assemblies. We can't make, new decisions.
How is that situation now in your area in Scandinavia?
Come again?
How is that situation now in Scandinavia then? Is there still like full lockdown? They're not allowing you to assemble?
Well, my country is a very bad example of the world, because we're always, looking at stuff from our perspective, and nobody's going to look at you if you don't wear a mask here. Nobody's going to tell you to wear a mask in the store and stuff like that. And curfews and such, that it's a cute thought, but it wouldn't actually work in practice on Norwegians. restrictions. So I doubt it works on people from the Netherlands too. But that's kind of where we're at here. I would talk about other countries like America instead, where people are being hounded, or the British Isles, where the minions are attacking people on the streets for not wearing masks and stuff like that. Calling the police, and people are getting fines and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, my country's not a good example. Maybe somebody else has a better one.
No, I live in California. It's insane here.
Yeah. As far as I know.
It really it's 100% upside down and crazy and just counterintuitive, and suddenly for some reason since Joe Biden got elected everything's okay now, and they're rolling back a lot of the restrictions, but you still can't eat in a restaurant indoors, and I don't think bars are open unless they serve food. I don't know. I don't drink, so I don't.
It
Hang out
doesn't
at
have to correlate with any logic now. They can just
Yeah.
say whatever because people already buy into it. So so like, you need a mask while you have like while having sex. You need a mask while driving alone in your car.
So I had to check this out real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to tell the story. In August, I had to evacuate my house because we had wildfires that were coming through that destroyed about 1,000 properties in my county, and we got located at this like a resort and conference center in Monterey County, right by Pebble Beach Golf Course of all fucking places, and I went out one morning and I'm walking down kind of by the beach. Not really a beach guy, but it's where I had to go to smoke cigarette. And I swear to God, saw a guy on a surfboard wearing a mask.
Just one, not like three.
One guy by himself on a surfboard wearing a fucking mask.
I don't know. That's not even the worst example.
In my mind, he was getting a gold medal in the virtue signaling Olympics that day. He was.
Yeah, well, you already had it, I guess. Yeah, lots of virtue signaling and political correctness going around. So, yeah, at the end of the day, since cancel culture is now such a accepted thing, Facebook censoring people is also accepted. Twitter deleting people and such. Nobody's standing up against that and saying, we had enough.
No, when you reach like the breaking point for people, because that does exist. I mean, for some reason, I'm not sure when it happens, but you mentioned the curfew thing, Thor. Like, that was kind of like the breaking point here in my country, and suddenly people started to go into the streets, and they were like, they were going wild.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw cars getting turned over and lit on fire. And
police was literally on the run. I mean, they couldn't handle anything, and that's also when they immediately, like the next day, they started to like debate about when the curfew would end, and now they have like the ending on official ending on the morning of February 10. So that is 3 days from now. So they could only make it last like a week or two max, right? Because people were like raging, so they had to give an ending date to it.
And it makes no sense at all. You can't contain this virus. It's already spread 10 times on the planet. It would be impossible. And a mask won't stop the virus? This is just stupid.
Yeah, and there's also like even on the mainstream now there are these debates like there were these professors on the air in my country, and they said like one person asked the question, how come the flu suddenly disappeared? How come we don't have a flu anymore now? Now we have corona. And that the professor said, yeah, it's because we protect so well against corona. There's no flu anymore. That's what he said.
Yeah. But, you know, people believe in Santa Claus and people believe in all kinds of stuff. What can I say?
I was surprised with that answer.
Yeah, but it's more like that they want to be deceived, you know? Please put me in some fantasy world in the Matrix that is comfortable, so I don't have to deal with the real world. Escapism, you know?
Yeah.
And all we have to offer them is the real world, and that sucks. You know, like they said in the Matrix, most people inside the Matrix would choose to stay there. You know? Sad, but true.
Now they do as long as they're entertained, right? That's also like Huxley's statement about Jonas and the whale. You have to keep them in this whale of entertainment where they're like drugged and entertained continuously. They stay inside the whale where they feel safe, right?
Yeah, the brave new world where, you know, everything is comfortable. Nothing is, you know, directly affecting you. Every decision that needs to be made is made by somebody you don't see, and you live like some tourist. But many people want to live like that.
Yeah, well, can you even blame them at this point with all the fear propaganda that's pushed at them? Like if it's not like some virus, it's some war, it's some terrorists attacking them in their streets. Well, I have never seen one in my street.
If I could take the fear away, I would. You know? I don't know what to tell people, but according to the law of energy, energy, you're not supposed to die. Your energy is just getting converted into something else, and yeah, according to quantum physics, we should be eternal. So with that out of the way, and you're not scared of dying anymore, let's fix this planet because you're gonna be here forever and ever and ever.
I mean, if matter can't be created or destroyed, and we're made of matter, then that means that we're made of some of the matter that's always been around, and parts, you know, that we're all made of all of the matter it's all gone into different forms, and yeah, we're everything. We're a part of everything. We're essentially one. So we should embrace that. And aim for sustainability as one.
Yeah. So, on that note, we ask everybody who has something to contribute to get in touch and, you know, join the team. And I'm going to speak for everybody here because maybe they just forgot this. But, yeah, we need help. We need people. We need a big team too. You know? That's just a sad fact.
Well, it's also kind of beautiful because it underscores the point.
Yep, we're
usually I'm cynical as fuck, so I'm trying to put a cherry on this shit, alright?
That's why I jumped in.
Yeah, you are listening there.
Like, it does seem like it's a bitch of a fucking world right now, but there has never been a time where we've been more connected, more dedicated. Look, no matter how many millions they spend on fucking tear gas, it's only a matter of time before somebody in Hong Kong figures out how to undo it with a fucking traffic cone. Right? No matter how many millions they spend on assholes in black fucking uniforms, right? People are still showing out in the streets by the millions. For whatever your reason is, I agree with them, I don't agree with them, it doesn't matter. They still can't crush the human spirit by even a little tiny bit, no matter how much they try.
Well, the problem is, like I said with the snake, it's attacking itself. At the end of the day, the snake will eat itself and kill itself off because of the ignorance. And yeah, like one hand is beating the other right now, and yeah.
The control that they're looking for from the people is not possible. So although they might have, wins here or there, at the end of the day, they end up losing way more power in the other direction. Like, it'll swing wildly, right? But they'll end up losing power in the grab that it's never enough.
Yeah, and it's called the Ouroboros. That is correct. Some guy in the comment field, he put it in like twice now. So yes, the Ouroboros eats itself, and it's a symbol of creation and destruction and such. But I'm using it as a different metaphor here.
Yes, what WOFD 11? You have earned a cookie. Well done. Well done. Bang up. Top drawer. Yeah.
But yeah, solutions, people.
Well, I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is staying connected, like globally, keeping the word out. As much as they're trying to crush us with censorship, it's only caused the people that are already speaking out to speak out twice as much, twice as hard. It's not like it's going away. It's not like what they're doing is working, right? They can take down one person's page and then 1,000 other pages pop up with just a free whoever the fuck that is page. Right? Like, it doesn't work. I know we've talked about it. I always put it all the way back to Napster as the example, right? They could have let Napster go, okay? They could have just let a couple of fucking geeks like us trade fucking movies and shit back and forth, a little bit of software, and just let it go. But they built departments and spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, your average 11-year-old knows where to get fucking, live movies, knows where to get pirated software and pirated apps and unlock their fucking phone. It had the opposite effect.
Because they brought massive attention to it. they don't realize that like, if you try to shut somebody up, it has the opposite effect, and there's a word for that. I can't remember what it's called. It's the Streisand effect, and that's
like Barbara.
What?
Like Barbara? Streisand?
No,
Yeah.
not Barbara.
Yeah,
No.
it is.
Yeah, it had to do with Barbra Streisand. Yeah.
It's called the Streisand effect. I'm sorry.
Is it or is it not the Streisand effect? We said no.
Streisand effect is when someone tries to attack you and you get more popular. Because that happened to Barbra Streisand.
Who was attacking
Okay,
Barbra
yeah,
Streisand?
exactly.
At the time, it was the little fucking press and society as a whole. They thought she was too uppity or some shit. But anyway, they came out. I'm sure we can Google it or some shit, dude. But like, they came after Barbra Streisand, and it made her infinitely more popular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see that happening here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Streisand effect is a social phenomenon that occurs when an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information has the unintended consequence of further publicizing that information, often via the internet. It's named after Barbra Streisand, whose attempt to, whose attempt to suppress her, the photo of her house, drew further attention to it in 2003.
5.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Like
It was
meme
coined
culture.
by Mike Masnick after 2003 incident. Okay. I thought that there was another reason why it was called the Streisand effect, but okay.
See, I'm not so stupid. I have
That's the first time I'm not like.
No, I legitimately thought he was trolling. I thought you were trolling because, Barbara Streisand, and I was like, oh, ha ha ha, very funny. But I didn't realize that it was actually, its origins was by Barbara Streisand. I had no idea.
Well, I mean, look
Yeah,
at how many people now know about war crimes with the Julian Assange exposed, that WikiLeaks exposed, and they know more about it now with them trying to suppress all of the information because they didn't want you to see it than if they just would have left it alone to begin with.
Yeah, well, with WikiLeaks, I mean, they literally.
The funny thing is that that information was already out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
most of
they
it is.
did-
We know that war's a racket, right? That's not even for debate.
Yeah, but I mean, the actual details that Assange and WikiLeaks supposedly leaked, they didn't leak that information. That was already available. They just published it to a wider audience.
Yeah, but WikiLeaks, this was in 2010. The WikiLeaks was heavily attacked, right? Now it is Assange being imprisoned, but back then WikiLeaks was taken down by the U.S. military and by hackers, right? I mean, the Jester and everything, all these attacks were launched against it, and that is actually when people started to create mirrors to WikiLeaks, and it gained a lot of fame with that because everyone saw they tried to suppress this material, so it probably had some importance, right? So it became like viral everywhere.
Like he said, if they just left it alone, they would probably never had a problem with it,
They left it
It
alone
would
and
have
just
been us.
said,
It would have been the people that were talking about, the anti-war movement, that people were talking about, the atrocities that are going on around the world in our name, right? We would have still been talking about it, but now people that don't even have any working information, right, associate the name Assange with U.S. war crimes.
I think that crying dog is trying to talk about it.
Hercules knows what's up.
yeah, no, but it is true, and that was actually also a Streisand effect, I think, with WikiLeaks. Yeah.
Look at what's
giant
going on
one.
with like the yellow vests, right? Pretty much the corporate media has ignored it completely, right? Never talks about it whatsoever, no matter how big the protest gets, whatever. But in their attempt to block it, you write down at the bottom, hey, the media doesn't want you to see this, and people immediately look at it. Right now, another one that people know, the yellow vest movement. It's a household name, and yet it's never been covered by the corporate media at all.
Well, what Turkey said, right? Erdogan, he said for France to get their yellow vest problem under control and take notes from Turkey of what they just did to all the students, protesters, protesting a new rector being installed at one school. And then Erdogan started installing other rectors in other schools, and I mean, he's been arresting hundreds, maybe even thousands of students across Turkey. So that's an important thing that we should discuss as well, because what's going on in Turkey is absolute insanity. I mean, Erdogan is going after the press again, and also against students. And yeah, I mean, Turkey is a dictatorship.
Yeah.
It is. And the U.S. gives them a pass because it gives us another land route into Syria.
Well, and what we just sold them, they're another one of that group that we've been trying to push the F-35s on. So don't we owe them a couple of flights F-35?
Yeah.
Remember years ago when the Turkish president came over here with his security and everything and was bullying.
Kick the shit out of people right in front of the White House.
Yeah.
Like, Turkish American citizens went to go protest, and he had his fucking goons just go out and beat the shit out
no,
of
he
these
like
guys.
it was worse. Like he had his goons and our goons go out there. Like that was where it became a problem. Where there was like, oh well, how come U.S. forces are out there beating the crap out of Turkish citizens?
They
Yeah.
didn't want to feel left out.
Yeah. Well, with Erdogan, you have another problem.
Turkish guys are there on their turf kicking American citizens. If you're a Secret Service guy, you're like, fuck, that's my job.
Yeah. But you have
I don't
another.
want to jump in on that.
Yeah, well, you have a big problem with Erdogan. That is, you have the Erdogan supporters, and but you have that Gulen movement, and they say it's like CIA funded. But yeah, you have like a third party who just wants to be free, right? So you're dealing again with that situation of, yeah, Americans who or the NATO wants to remove Erdogan in that sense, but they want to replace it with something that might not be completely grassroots either. But then you have the normal people want just more rights, right? Normal people are not
It's not
involved.
going to be. It's not going to be grassroots. I mean, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the whole Golan movement, that's supposedly funded by the CIA, according to Turkish intelligence, and also I think Sibylle Edmonds also said something along those lines too. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, you have that whole movement over there against Erdogan, and you know the Turkish accuse the CIA, and they also say NATO is funding the other side. And I mean, like, he is a full-on dictator, man. And let's not forget that he invited Serena Shim over to Turkey to record an interview, and you know, the day after she gets over there into Turkey, she ends up having a accident with a cement truck driving on the wrong side of the road. And let me just be clear that the cement truck was what was driving on the wrong side of the road. And then on top of that, they take her sister to a different hospital than they take her to, and then she's pronounced dead. So I mean, like, that whole thing, it just screams to me that she was set up. You know, she was absolutely set up to die by Erdogan, because she was kicked out of Turkey, and then all of a sudden she's invited back. You know, invited to interview Erdogan, and she's dead. And that's the factual true story. I actually interviewed Judith Poe, and I interviewed their whole family at one point in time.
We had her on air too. I mean, Juniper was on air too with us. It's a long time ago, but
Yeah. I don't know if I was on air with you guys with Judith. I don't remember, but we should definitely have her back and talk about Serena. It's been years, and they still haven't gotten justice for it. And it's a fucked up story, man. Like, she exposed the NATO and Turkish funding and smuggling into ISIS, and she ended up dead for it. And it's fucked up. You know, she was banned from Turkey, and then all of a sudden they unban her and invite her back for an interview, and she's dead.
yeah, the Serena Shim, it is like a very shady situation there. Should get a lot more coverage. Yeah.
Not the only journalist that Erdogan has had killed. Just saying. There's been several more.
Mm.
Yeah, I see on the news they're talking about student protests and some corruption inside the university faculty. And yeah, sounds like
I'd say that the universities in Turkey are very international. You might not expect it, but it is like as goes in many countries, especially in the West, that the students are still very activist. So yeah, that is the biggest threat to an establishment are the student movements in such countries.
Right, and he's arresting hundreds, if not thousands, of students.
Yeah, well, there's a logic behind it for them to be activists, and I mean, students usually aren't very wealthy, and they live in they work together to survive and stuff, right? I mean, you eat with each other and things, and you don't make much money as a student. You get like some money from the government usually.
This week, Turkish police detained more than 250 protesters in Istanbul and 69 students in Ankara, some of whom were released later. At least 51 protesters in Istanbul were referred to court on Wednesday. Blah blah blah. So yeah, a lot of people.
You said at least 50?
Yeah, who had to go to court and you know, make bail and such. So, but they arrested 250 people plus 69, so over 300 people last week. So yeah, they're still at it.
It is interesting though that it happens around the same time as the whole protests in Russia. I'm not sure how much that is aligned with each other, but it is interesting.
Well, the protests in Russia have the full support and encouragement of the United States government.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
And when you've got sitting Congress critters like verbally blowing Navalny online and on television, what that screams to me is the Biden administration can't wait to have their color revolution in Russia.
Yeah, it might be. The question is like, is he like in contact with them, or are they just amplifying an existing protest because it benefits them, right? Because I know a little bit about Navalny, and for example, he is also like in favor of Crimea belonging to Russia, right? And the West wants Crimea with the Ukraine. I mean, Americans have pushed Ukraine to like, they literally sent money and trained soldiers in Ukraine to take Crimea from Russia. So in that sense, he's not fully on the Western side in that sense.
It wouldn't be the first time that the West backed a strongman only to turn around and fuck them.
Yeah.
Especially if they have CIA connections. We did it in Panama like it was fucking nothing.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Yeah, yeah. So and that's similar, like with with Erdogan with the Gulen movement. That was also these CIA ties, and yeah, I can't say like the conclusion that these are CIA agents, but the CIA or the West or the USA they benefit from these revolutions, and they will amplify it, of course. But yeah, could be both things, by the way. It could be.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I definitely think it's both things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics and strategy going on, but you know, we only see a tiny bit of it. We don't know what they're talking about anyway, so.
If you look at the World Economic Forum from last week, and you listen to Putin's speech to the WEF, like, he's basically telling them that he wants to play ball in this new globalist takeover.
With the Davos thing.
And I don't know if that's like, please don't throw a color revolution in my country and back this fucking asshole.
Nice.
I like my power. I want my power. You know, or if, because there are I just had Johnny Vedmore on the show, and he and Whitney Webb have a series coming out now about Russian banks and the role that they're playing with the World Economic Forum in terms of establishing a cryptocurrency.
Mm.
Well, I mean,
that
I
they
think
would
the
like to
U.S.
use-
has an obsession with Russia. It doesn't always sit logically. So, I mean, there are people that it doesn't matter whether it destabilizes an area, whether it's under your self-interest, as long as they feel it's against the Ruskies, the Reds, the Communists, right? They will do things against their own self-interest, including prop up local strongmen just because it hurts Russia, and I'm putting that in parentheses. Not saying that, if anything isn't right, we should be standing up. But a lot of the politicians that are standing up for it are standing up for it just to play into the propaganda and Red Scare bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's always a reason. We might not necessarily see that, but they have a plan.
Yeah, and
You
the
know?
thing is also, is this just public play, or is this actually also what goes on behind the scenes? I mean, with the Assange case, we saw it too. Like, it was Interpol asking for his arrest, and Interpol has 96 members, and both Russia and the USA are core members, and they are both asked for his arrest. And then he is jailed, and the USA asks for his extradition, and suddenly there are Russian state-funded media program shows supporting Assange. But then the question is, are they really supporting Assange, or are they playing into that Red Scare narrative that the USA population needs to have him extradited? Right? Because the US population is being made scared of everything that's connected to Russia. So a logical move for two states, which were both exposed by WikiLeaks, would be to play ball on it.
Well, I mean, eventually you have to ask your question. Like, is your goal to undermine corruption or worldwide corruption that you see Russia being in, charge of or controlling, or is your goal to destroy the Russian people? And at the end of the day, Russia is allowed to be Russian, right? And is America ever going to be able to come to terms with that, where your number one goal in life is not to destroy Russia? Right? I'm happy with Russia being a country. I'm happy with them being Russian. I'm happy with them being communist, if that's what they want to fucking be. Right? But there's an underlying thing in America where is your goal to undermine what exactly? You don't want an expansion. You don't want them to be in markets. Like, what exactly is your issue that causes us to be at constant World War III? And do I have that same problem? Because I don't feel that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Russia is of course a trove of resources. It has many unexplored resources, and no one knows how much is actually, in oil and in other resources in the ground there. I mean, in Siberia and the area, much is not unexplored still. But we discussed on the show also about the Cold War situation, and was it really a war, or was it an excuse for both sides to actually build a technological and a military to create a build-up of that, right?
Exactly. Now you're getting to the point.
Yeah.
Because just having them as a big bad enemy seems to be, benefiting both sides.
Yeah, yeah. It is almost looks like a game being played out between people who behind the scenes might not actually be such big enemies at all.
Well, and sometimes it's more than obvious. You notice the Russians came out that they had their supersonic underwater fucking nuclear missile system, right? And then like a week later, Trump comes out and says, "No, we've got an even faster supersonic underwater missile system." It's just like, man, I don't give a fuck, right? People are starving. I really do not give a fuck about your supersonic fucking nuclear system. We're trying not to blow up the world in a nuclear war, yeah?
Well, that's the thing. While behind the scenes, they toast and drinks and their best buddies. It's supposed to look like a big war because that keeps the masses in check. Or else we would just, go and destroy everything. But if you do that now, the other side will attack with their nuclear missiles and the whole world will be destroyed in a matter of minutes. And, they've been pushing that atomic scare since like the 70s. And in the 80s, it really reached its peak. Everybody was talking about, atomic this and that. And, everybody's so afraid of, the potential destroyer of the planet. So they're always going to, want to have a strong man on their side. throw the ball back and forth, and you'll just keep them busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't dig it. I don't dig it. And at a certain point, like how many times can we blow up the world over now with our nuclear weapons? Like at a certain point, do you win? Is it 100? Is it 200? Like how many times can you blow up the world with nuclear weapons and before it's like, all right, I'm done? Like even if I blow them up from weapons from the 2020s, like who gives a shit? It's still blown up.
Yeah. I don't even think they have those weapons. They're just making them up.
I was
What
thinking,
would it,
if you want to win with your country and you want to be like the most powerful one, shouldn't you like reduce your military budget with a few billions and actually help the homeless and the homeless veterans, etc. Make your society a little bit more attractive? I think that helps too.
No, bomb poor people for money. That seems to be the go-to.
Yeah, but it just doesn't make your society look better from the outside. I mean,
well,
you
well
look-
who are we talking to now? We're talking to elected representatives, or are we talking to the people in charge of making the actual bomb? Because that's not the same person. You know,
Well,
there's
we
so many
saw kind of
interests.
for a minute there with some of the German companies that they said, "Hey, we're not gonna, keep making weapons parts for the war effort in Syria and Yemen." And I don't know that what came with it. And then it was like the port workers that said, "Hey, we're not going to export them anymore. It doesn't matter how many you order," which I thought was all pretty cool. But it was like one moment in time that just that never took off. It didn't become a movement.
Yeah, but that's how we need to go about this. Disrupt the whole line of production and delivery.
Well, just from the bottom, like eventually, look, the people at the top, right? The guys in the top hats with the monocles are always going to want more war, always going to keep ordering these weapons back and forth to each other. At a certain point, what are they going to do if the people at the bottom are just like, nah, we're not making these anymore? I'm sorry. Sorry, we're not making them. We're not shipping them out. We're just not going to play this. Whatever the fuck y'all got going on here, we're just not a part of this.
Well, then they're going to lose their power, and of course, that's not going to be pretty because they're probably going to react violently. But yeah, we have to take them out of power, reduce them to normal people, and then we have to analyze what's wrong with them so we can learn for the future what happens to the human when it gets too much power.
Yeah, I think that's what's important because it always seems to lead to the same place. None of these people ever get into power and do the exact opposite, right? We've had Biden for 3 weeks. He's already started carpet bombing fucking North Africa, right? These people never do good when they get power. So we need to have systems where they don't have the ability to do that kind of shit, where it's unthinkable.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to, the president of the United States, quote unquote, the power is not with that person. It is with, cabinet and the system that is behind it. At the end of the day, it's with the Pentagon and the people who make the decisions about bombing stuff. You won't get anywhere without a bunch of generals on your side.
Well, I mean, yes and no. You know what I mean? You could. They won't, but you could. Right?
Yeah,
you have control of the.
just-
You have control of the Marines. You have like these guys do whatever the fuck they want when it works to the evil parts, right? If one of them wants to,
just look at the war strategy that's been running the last 40 years. It has been very concise, even though on the surface it might look like, oh, Obama just came and he will save the world, as an example, and he's one of the worst ones. He started bombing even more and bringing more troops into the Middle East. So, the big question is, who's really in charge here and what's the plan?
but again, like look, when Trump wanted to remove people from the Middle East, he removed people from the Middle East, and they were caught there. Like, there's nothing we can do to fucking stop him, right? They really couldn't. If you wanted to do good, you totally could. They just don't.
Well, that on the surface, it might have looked like he did something, but as far as I know, They still have a shit ton of troops all over.
Oh no, he didn't. He didn't bring anybody home. He didn't. He moved them just to guard the oil company, you know, the oil fields and all of that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But you saw when he brought people, you know, the people that he did bring home, shutting down the bases in Germany, right? They freaked the fuck out because there was nothing they could do to stop him.
Well, you know, personally, I think that's just a show, and you know, again, when we're just seeing a tiny fraction of what's actually going on, you know, they might be toasting and laughing it up right now, and you know, saying we bought it, we drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure with a lot of the things that go on in our world, as we tear each other apart over fucking bullshit, right? They're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yep. Just like China is now with Corona. You know, they made everybody buy into that stuff. But of course, you know, these governments, they're not stupid. They have a reason to follow along with this stuff. It's in their interest.
Well, I mean, they'll use any excuse to consolidate power, right? That is the game, right? Any excuse whatsoever. If the wind blows, if there's a storm, if there's not a storm, if there's a virus, if there's not a virus, if it's terrorism, police, this, drugs, whatever it is, right? They will always have a reason to consolidate power, right? To consolidate control. That is their number one goal.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the aliens personally, but yeah. Virus works, I guess.
Oh, soon.
I mean, I would have been almost a little bit happier with the virus because at least we'd be finally looking outward and maybe we can take care of some of our own problems. Like, it's no shock we don't find aliens when every single satellite that we own is facing our own planet.
Yeah. Yeah, if people did some math on that stuff, you know, even if you're traveling like 3 times the speed of light, it would still take, you know, tens and tens of thousands of years to get anywhere inhabitable. You know, just, you know, getting outside our solar system would take 100,000 years in the speed of light. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of our problem, you know, we've spent a lot of money on military budgets and not a lot of money in medical care, right? And once the human lifespan, what if you live 500 years? Then is traveling back and forth between Alpha Centauri for 50 years that big of a deal? Right? If you
Yeah,
live
but
for 1,000 years, is traveling back and forth for 20 years that big of a deal?
What would, you know, why would you even want to do that?
I want to go everywhere.
You should travel inside, and then you're connected to the entire universe, like that kind of stuff.
I mean, like a DMT and stuff.
Just eat some mushrooms. You get it.
And travel to outer space standing in one place. No, but there
Take
is,
the
like...
vacation without leaving, yeah.
We could be so much farther than we are, and some of these things that are seen as roadblocks might not be that big of a roadblock. Every part in human evolution has had a roadblock, right? You couldn't break the speed of sound. You couldn't travel in cars but a certain speed because the air traveling by you would cause you to choke to death and die, right? And we smashed every single one of them. And then at the end of World War II, we became infinitely focused on murdering each other and on nothing else.
Yeah, at the same time, we've been polluting the planet more and more, and, you know, making more and more war, as you say, and we haven't really progressed all that much. We refined our technology, but we still have the same primitive uses for it.
Yeah, the jet engine is pretty much ran as far as the jet engine could possibly go, and there is so many ideas out there for better ways of propulsion. We're not going to travel the universe by strapping explosives to our backs. Like, that's not logical, you know what I mean?
What about cleaning up the planet? Wouldn't that be more of a step forward than just like visiting another planet if we still had the same shithole planet we have now?
Oh, 100%. But part of the game is that we have to start by stopping polluting it to begin with. And then we need to start developing technologies that clean the water, just don't make power out of it. Where we're not constantly just using our planet, right? Where we see it that we have to make it better to make up for some of the nightmares, right? But we've not even started making technology to help clean the planet. Right, we've just started making the technology to stop polluting it. We got to get to step 2 before we can even go to being a zero civilization.
You have to understand, in order for me to uphold my lifestyle, we need you to keep buying our oil and using it.
Hard
So that
pass,
I can-
hard pass. But I will sell you as much sunlight as you can carry.
But yeah, but that's kind of the thing, you know. Both my country and your country has the same luxury problem. They make so much off of oil, and you know they have so much progress at home because of oil, so they don't really need any clean technology, you know. And poor people, that's part of the system. They're the slaves that make the rich people rich. So, you know, most of these people don't see a problem.
Well, I think we are very disconnected from everything that happens in our world, whether it's the food that we grow, whether it's the products that we have. You know, most people own things and they have no idea who made it, where it came from. Where you look at even our grandparents, right? They could tell you which, clockmaker made this or the watch or where their television came from or where their tires came from, right? They had a real connection with everything around them, and we've lost like all of that. And because of it, the people on the other side of the shadow, right, are able to get away with just insane things because you don't know where anything comes from.
Yeah. That's, that's how it works. That's the brave new world somebody tried to warn us about.
Yeah, we're at the intersection of like Huxley and Orwell and Kafka and Joseph Conrad and fucking Philip K. Dick and like it's.
How many times do we have to be warned, right? Like, how many generations do they have to be ringing this bell before anybody fucking listens?
Well,
people,
until it happens.
oh wow, that's crazy. That could never happen here in the land of the free.
Well, it's just like every 100 years they're like, all right, guys, I know that the prison, like the authoritarian, right, system is slowly taking over, but hear me, it's going to get worse if we don't take action. 100 years later, when they're back, all right, I know it got worse, right, but if we take action now, you'll be fine. 100 years later, like, all right, we know that the prison industrial complex is taking over and is watching everything that you do, right, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, and monitoring algorithms and attempts to what you might be doing in the future. But if you take action now, I know there's a robot outside your house,
Right.
what you do.
Signal droid hovering over your bed.
You
Yeah.
just move now.
And people are still gonna be like, okay, but Barron Trump is president and we have to vote him out, and Ivanka is the good Trump and she's running as a Democrat. So if we don't vote for her, then we can't do that thing that you're talking about. I swear to God, dude, people are still gonna be walking around saying that shit.
The craziest thing to me was when all of those new like portable devices, or all those devices that came out, the Alexas and all of that shit. And then Anons and everybody are like, yo, they're listening to you, right? And then they're like, hey, are you guys listening to us? And they're like, yeah, we're listening to you. And everybody's just like, okay, yeah, cool. And you're just kind of standing there like the government just said that they're putting a device in every single one of your houses, and everybody's like, oh yeah, all right, cool, awesome. Can you give me the recipe for a great chocolate cake?
Right. Hey, Langley, what do you got for pancake batter?
Even what the thing that the attack on the fucking Capitol, right? Now they're putting this video everywhere of all the cell phones, right, going from where the speech was down the thing. And on one side you're all like, oh, look at how he incited the riot, and on the other side you're like, look, everybody, they are totally tracking all of your cell phones. And like people are posting it like this is a great thing, and not like this is such a kick in the nuts. Like they are always watching you everywhere.
I was there. And I did not bring my phone, but I was there in a journalistic capacity to observe and report on it, and I had a camera on me, you know. But I think calling it an attack is at least from what I saw is disingenuous. What I saw was tens of thousands of people being used as set dressing for a fucking staged operation that will lead to domestic terrorist legislation. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
But I can only explain what I saw from where I was at, you know. And so I have friends that were there too, and we've been trying to like put together everybody's footage and all interview each other on each other's shows and shit like that, and try and build a complete picture. But man, it was eerie. I'll say that. The whole thing was a little sublime.
A false flag is justified according to the powers that be. If it's in national security context. If it's just making your country more secure, then at the end of the day nobody would actually put them in jail for it either. That's the problem. So Corona might be a false flag operation completely, but
well, and I think we can't deny ourselves that these people will use any instance as a false flag, right? It doesn't have to be that the incident doesn't happen. It doesn't have to be that the terrorist event or the attack, whatever you want to call it, happened, not even here, but in other issues, right? For them to use that to promote whatever issues that they would like to, whether they want to promote the police state, whether they promote surveillance and all of this crap, right? They will use any instance, any event, right, to take advantage of that. So you have to take that into mind as well. So something doesn't have to be not true or not have happened or even set up for them to take complete advantage of it.
Yeah, but a lot of the actual mission here is to get people to comply. It's not necessarily about some specific strategic thing. It's about control. That's kind of the whole game. I'm sure you know what a Freemason is, but do you know what a Freemason does? A Freemason, he plays a game. It is seen as the most prestigious game of all. It is supposed to churn out the perfect being, the perfect man, the Messiah himself, but through blood, strife, toil, stress, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you didn't know about that, did you?
It's just another religion, Tor. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, but it's an old one that has a lot to do with the structure of our modern society.
I believe that.
If I'm a part of a secret society and I decide to make something that is, from the same type of structure, but still, hidden inside the system, I will construct a system that is basically, just an extension of my belief, but I will make it so that it's not obvious on the surface. It might look like something else.
Okay, so in regards to what you said about Freemasonry, I was actually a apprentice to the craft for about a couple months, and I was invited into Freemasonry from my cousin and uncle. So basically, Freemasonry, like what you said, I went through that whole rebirth ceremony. That's one thing that I had. And then they give you a compass, a rock, and a lamb cloth. And they basically tell you to structure your life. So you're right. You're right to a degree, but Freemasonry is really like from what I had, it was really religious and it was geared towards Jesus and God and all types
Yeah,
of.
then that is lower level Freemason stuff. You will never hear about Adonai, you know, the complete God until you're on the higher levels, and that's master level. You're still an apprentice when you're talking about, you know, morals and dogma as such.
Oh, okay, it throws in Albert Pike like it's nothing. That Albert Pike was.
No, he took it.
It was actually Albert Pike was a 33rd degree Freemason, but what you mean is like Scottish Rite and Egyptian Rite. Memphis Mizraim has 99 degrees. So yeah, these are rites who probably recruit in those lodges, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's the low-level lodges that teach essentially like Christ education, and you know, as you go up in the lodges. But that's most Freemason lodges, unless you're in the P2 Lodge and the DC Lodge and the Scottish Rite Lodge, I believe. There's some more as well, but you get my point, that most of these Freemasonry lodges in the U.S. especially, and in the across Europe, you know, these are low-level lodges that are just teaching religious type of text, and it has nothing to do with Satanism or sacrifice or anything like that. Like the P2 Lodge, though, it was caught years ago sacrificing a goat or a pig. I forget what it was, but it was on video.
What? There was a bunch of murders and stuff in Italy. Was that P2, P7? There was another P name, wasn't it?
Italy.
They hung a banker.
Well, they did that in Iceland too, but Thor doesn't believe me.
Hey, but you also have a thing called, Shriners too, AK. Like you have to mention that too. Like you have these lodges like Alistair. Yeah, like Aleister Crowley's OTO, for example. They call themselves also like Masonic, but they like by this generic Masonry are not considered part of that, but they are their own lodges. But
well, OTO is involved in mass murders, so come on.
Yeah, no, I know, but I know all the story about this.
I want to say something about the whole structure here. Just like if you're a Catholic and you're not like a high priest or like part of the Vatican, you're probably not like fucking kids full time. But if, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
You're not necessarily part of the conspiracy, even though you're a Freemason. You can be low level. You know where I'm going.
He says that like it's a fucking joke.
Hold up. I want to drink that. I want to drink that in for a minute. I do. I totally want to drink that in for a minute. You went from like 0 to 200 in half a second. That was beautiful.
Like it was a
You're just like, look, because tiger lilies prefer half sunlight doesn't mean that priests are fucking kids all the time. Like it was the turn on a dime. It was great, man. It was fantastic. It was.
And while we're laughing, I guess it's the absurdity of it. It's not really funny. It's just fucking surreal.
Yeah, no,
Oh, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my other show, man, would just be 2 hours of me screaming into a microphone if I didn't have jokes. And
That is my
that hasn't
only
worked.
contribution. Is a little bit of
Yeah,
love
but
and
that's what we're-
soul.
Sam Kinison was the last guy to be able to pull that off with any sort of success, and that ain't me.
Do you know anything about like Freemasonry and stuff, Steve? I mean,
A bit, but I'm by no means the guy. I know several people that are just absolute autists for Freemasonry. But I'm like conversational at best.
Well, and it's because the elite gravitate towards it. The waters are always so muddled, right? Well, would these people be just as evil if they didn't have a weekend group to go to, right? Would they still use their influence and power to control the world? And I think at the end of the day, the answer is yes.
yeah, but there are other groups like you have like what is called like a Rotary, for example, right? They meet there too. Or you have, but also Scientology, for example, attracts a lot of celebrities and elites. In that sense.
Jesus Christ,
Club of
dude.
Rome.
By the way, that was my introduction to Anonymous. Was the Chinology. That was
Yeah,
fucking hilarious.
yeah. Like,
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Oops. Oh man, that shit was hilarious.
That was fucking.
Yeah, I still want to get. I still want to bring Leah Remini on our show. I mean, she became a follower when she followed me on Twitter when I started to post a bit about Scientology too. She left Scientology and she.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah, I want to get her on
yeah,
the
she's
show.
got a fascinating story.
Oh, that chick from the
From that comedy
from the
stuff.
funny show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably watched
She's
it every
cute.
day.
King of Queens, guys, King of Queens.
Right.
Yeah, King of Queens, that's right. Bring her on. I want to flirt with this one.
We'll bring her on, but she got a husband. He's Italian.
That's not something you let people know ahead of time.
And
Yeah,
because
that was.
But she said it on Joe Rogan.
best opportunity.
You know, she said
Yeah,
it.
Probably won't send her this link.
It may not be rule 1, but it's like at least rule 3. You hold that shit in.
I guess she might be a little older than me by now.
Still, it's
I don't think that's the biggest issue. I don't feel like that's the
Yeah,
biggest
that's not the biggest issue. Trying to flirt with our guest. They'll never
Well,
come
I'm
back.
a fucking catch. I'm like on Anonymous Bites back and everything, you know.
True. But she will be a great guest. It will be worth it. I mean, for that definitely. Because she does have like a great story, and I think her entire family is still involved.
She sacrificed pretty much her entire career just to speak out. Like it is. I know there was a documentary that was made a little bit ago. I don't know how much reviews it get. I hadn't seen it. But I know she spoke so openly about the inside workings of Scientology. It's like she is someone to look into and to definitely listen to. And like I said, all her support comes from the low side here, because like her career, they've done everything to try to fucking destroy her.
Right. And the thing is important to say too is that Scientology has a lot of links into Hollywood. A lot of links into Hollywood, so they can control things.
And they do, and they have a big budget.
Yep.
And she played, the girl next door, like she was, it's not like there wasn't plenty of characters that she would have been perfect for, and she doesn't get them because she chose to speak out about a fucking cult.
Yep.
Well, what's ironic is who was the girl who spoke out against NXIVM? Or no, she didn't speak out against it. She was involved in it.
Claire Bronfman.
No.
Oh,
Because there's a whole thing about the Bronfman family.
Is that with
and-
like the Superman thing, right? They were the people on
Yeah,
Superman.
yeah,
Is that what that
yeah.
one was?
It's
Oh!
Smallville. I can't remember her name.
Oh yeah.
Allison. Who's her name? Allison what?
Shit.
Oh, Mac. Oh, Mac.
You're fast. I just had it.
I'm better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
NXIVM it's called. NXIVM. There's no Nexium.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and just being like, "Oh my god, no, not Smallville, no!"
She was involved in Nexium and other girls.
People, you were
Yeah.
No, it was mostly women
It
and
really
girls,
is.
though. The thing is, that a lot of people missed too with Nexium. They were running a child youth camp type of deal. What do you think was going on there?
Dude, that was straight up an episode of Blacklist. Like, basically.
Oh, I'm sure they sneak into a lot of these shows and a lot of this stuff. I'm sure they sneak in little nods to each other, like for sure. So for
I mean, I
you
guess
and I
the
watching it,
first-
we wouldn't notice. But if you were involved in it, there would be little nods and and little attaboys to stuff that they've done. If nothing else,
Yeah,
to make sure that you're blackmailed. Like we know this is what happened.
The whole point
Yeah,
the whole point of having a secret society is that you feel you're a part of something that other people are not, part of. So these people communicate with like not only secret handshakes but all kinds of like secret signals and like inside jokes and stuff that normal people wouldn't pick up on. you
Oh,
know?
is that why they? I won't go there.
But probably.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're gonna say, but yeah, probably, man. Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Yeah,
They're
no,
horrible
probably
pieces of
shouldn't
shit.
say that. No, probably shouldn't say that. It'll probably get us banned and labeled QAnon.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah,
I don't
think
think we could have said fuck QAnon anymore. Not only for being total douchebaggles, but on top of it, trying to jack our fucking name. What's that all about?
Yeah, but if you invite elites in, you have to make them actually feel elite, right? And not just in a money way. So they need to have secret handshakes and all those things. That has to be part of the program.
Exactly. And let's be honest. We stole Anonymous from a bunch of alcoholics.
Fair enough.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but we stole it legitimately.
Thanks, Phil.
Fuck the CIA.
It's the rules of piracy, man.
Yeah. So, anybody know who QAnon is? I can go and beat him up.
Yeah.
I thought it was Batman. Is it not Batman? Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I know who all the Qs are. You want them all?
I just want the guy with the Twitter account.
I don't think
that would be the CIA.
I guess. Or somebody on their payroll.
Well, I mean,
But
Yeah, it ends in .gov. Trust me.
supposedly Ezra
whatever
Cole
happened with...
created it, so
Here's
Well,
an
but
easy
but-
way for people that don't know. There's actually a pretty easy way to tell if your movement is backed by the government. If part of your movement is listen to the government and don't question them, chances are it's being ran by the government. Just throwing that out there.
Well, you're supposed to trust the plan, my man.
That would have been the one right there. if you think this is the fucking plan, no, hard pass.
I thought this was the plan, just like talking lots of random shit and yeah.
hard pass on that
The plan was the plan was the deactivation of the right, and to get people who had otherwise no reason to put any faith into the state, to get them to at least trust that there was a faction of the state working
People
on
that-
their behalf, albeit in secret and against unsurmountable odds. But if you stay tuned, we'll let you know more in the next drop. Trust the plan, send money.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
but
weird because it was like so
supporting-
focused on the right, and they were, historically the people that were calling out about the police state, and then within really 2 years, they're the ones that are saying, "Oh, support the police state," and it was
Wow,
like
yeah,
a
but
total
that-
180.
The
Let's
exact
be honest.
explosion
That is true right-wing politics. Support the state, support the troops, support the police.
So
That
there
is
was
right-wing politics. Okay.
There was a big shift, really, towards a more libertarian minded approach on the right, starting to be, and a lot of those guys went out for Trump, and the people that are like way more civil liberties, but just have a lot of interesting thoughts about money. They're not the police state guys. They're not at all.
but that
in fact,
libertarian,
most of them would prefer to never call the cops. They would prefer to handle all of their problems themselves.
But that right-wing movement was more like coming up like around like the Ron Paul era, right? Shortly after 9/11.
Yeah, so they had to capitalize on that. They had to grab all that energy and they had to make it static. And so Q doesn't work unless Russiagate works. And none of that works unless there's a pretty full speed ahead further militarization of the police to the point to where now. One more time?
No, I was joking. I said, don't you worry. Biden has you covered.
Oh, we're fucked.
We're a month past the 6th, right? And almost a month, we're a couple of weeks or more now from the inauguration. And the fucking National Guard, at least 5,000 of those guys, are sticking around until the end of March. Armed,
don't even get me fucking started. Now they're expanding the one of the detention centers to fit another 700 kids. No shit, the motherfucker has let 0 children out of fucking cages and put 700 more behind
like
bars.
anybody thought he would.
Oh, it's just like you had the hope that he wouldn't. I didn't vote for the motherfucker. I can't stand that jackass. Welcome to Standing Rock. But
seriously,
fuck, man.
You're falling into the trap here by like implying that he has power. He's a puppet for a system that is still doing their stuff, still doing their expansion on the planet, strategically taking over resources and pushing people back and forth. When it comes to this politics stuff, that's surface stuff. You never see who is in real power. That the power is behind the throne. Everybody knows this. Everybody with a brain like this.
What the elections do is they give the public the fucking the perception that they get to participate in the process, and it's a dog and pony show to ensure continuity of government.
Oh, it's a complete fucking joke. It's a complete fucking joke. Like I said, I think I said this last week. We are about to learn the difference between a fascist dictator and a corporate fascist. Trump was definitely a fascist dictator, but even fascist dictators, every once in a while, will do something positive because they feel it makes them look good. A corporate fascist doesn't give a fuck about anyone or anything, and that's what we've got now.
Well, yeah, you can't even be a fake populist without being popular. You can be fake. You just can't be fake and unpopular and be a fake populist, and that's how Trump ran. That's what his marketing was.
Well, yeah, and you can expect him for every once in a while to stroke his ego. He'd do something positive, right? But it was just to stroke his ego. Where even here, man, Biden don't give a fuck. Right? He will destroy himself to make his buddies a little bit more.
Oh my God.
They marketed Trump as a savior of something, that at the end of the day he will just continue anyway. So it's not like he actually went against any system. It's just like it was perceived that he was the one to go against the system. You get it? It's a marketing.
Oh well, sure. No, Trump had to happen in order for where we are right now with Biden and Harris and the Great Reset and this, but you know, this drug that people are getting shot into their body, that's a messenger RNA drug that you can't call it a vaccine. It doesn't inoculate you. It may or may not treat some symptoms, and you can infect other people for up to 3 weeks. That's not a vaccine. But that wouldn't happen without Trump. That segment of the right that got deactivated because of QAnon, because Donald Trump was in the White House, and they said he was a white hat and a good guy, and he was, you know, fighting the super secret cabal that was somehow only made up of Democrats. And possibly
Right.
John McCain, who may or may not also in Gitmo, still not dead in Gitmo. Anyway,
Get the Jews and the Jewish space lasers. You need those, you know, to get the party started.
so we can talk about that in a second, man. But my point though is that Trump had to be president for these 4 years for the country to be where it is, to be receptive to the kinds of just lunacy that their country's elected officials are making them do. There's no way that the people who follow Q would have fucking stayed away from invading every fucking state capitol and government building and everywhere on the fucking planet had Hillary Clinton been like, okay, mask up. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give the billionaires $5 trillion and you guys can suck it. For your little fucking $600 checks. Just fucking
reality-
eat a stone dick.
The reality is that Trump literally expanded the cybersecurity police. He actually created a new agency that is able to hack even Americans with probable cause. Okay? He created that agency. You know, it's not like we had the NSA and we didn't need that agency, right? So that's one
Right.
thing that he did. Number two, he fully deregulated all of Wall Street. Okay? So that's why this throughout his whole entire presidency, he kept on deregulating Wall Street. He was in it for his friends in Wall Street. He was deregulating Wall Street the entire time, and then after the COVID Black Swan event happened, right? He fully deregulated everything else that was left, all the laws that were left. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, Trump literally said that it's now okay for the police to get military equipment. He did it when he first got in office in 2017. Okay? Number four, he brought Bill Barr back from all of his historic corruption and put him in as the DOJ head. Okay? He also brought back, who was that guy? Elliot Abrams, yeah. You read my mind because I said Iran-Contra. But yeah, Elliot Abrams, and he promoted him as the Venezuela envoy. Which, I don't know anybody who's going to trust Elliot Abrams being the Venezuela envoy. I mean, come on. The guy smuggled
And
weapons.
then immediately there's a blackout in Venezuela,
Yeah.
which is right out of the playbook that he used in Honduras in '79, and it's yeah. In Nicaragua.
Well, I mean, the blackout that happened too. I mean, it was right out of a CIA document. It was out of a CIA document that WikiLeaks had put out. I can't remember what the fuck it was off the top of my head right now. I'd have to look it up, but it's right out of a CIA document where they talk about basically blacking out the country, and this is like talking about Venezuela. And yeah, I mean, they blacked out Venezuela. They had that whole what was that fake attack, Terrence? You remember that? Like it was like that happened. You talked about it before. It was like somebody stole a truck or something like that.
Oh, like it was a hijacking that they set up. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was basically just your standard fucking CIA op. So they made it seem like these, like, I don't know, guerrilla forces or somebody attacked this truck, and it turned out to be, you know, a U.S.-backed hit squad. There was a recent, another real similar event in Chile, where they were using the local police force the same way.
Right, and they want to overthrow Chile too. That's a target. Chile's a target. Venezuela's a target. Iran is a target.
Yeah, how can we be the good guys and have these many targets?
I know, right? Like, how many more
Like,
targets?
how many do you list off before you're like, wait a minute, are we the baddies?
Because we're the good guys. That's why there are so many targets, because the bad guys hate us for our freedom.
I don't know. It sure sounds like we're the baddies.
Man, that voice, I can't pinpoint what voice that is, but that sounds exactly like it.
Gomer Pyle.
That was pretty fucking Gomer Pyle there.
It was damn accurate. I mean,
Can you give us a golly?
Golly!
There you go.
That's a Stanley Kubrick movie, right?
Well, no.
No, it's Deputy Gomer Pyle. He gets used a lot, like, throughout media afterward, but he was actually a real smart guy that played a complete.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, I know it. Yeah. Sorry.
Jim Neighbor.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. But yeah, just that character. Anytime you're dealing with the U.S. government, you should be speaking in the Gomer Pyle voice.
You know, I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of the what's that show? It's not Family Guy. It's the other one.
I was
Cleveland show. It sounded like Cleveland.
Oh yeah, they are very close.
My name is Cleveland Brown.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you can stay.
I found your worth.
He can do so many voices, that guy.
Well done.
Can you do Trump?
Sleepy Josh says he can do mean Gomer Pyle too.
Do that Trump again. Do Trump again.
It's kind of hard to do on the fly, guys. It'll be huge.
Yeah,
I'm already out of the house. It's actually better than when I was in the White House. I've got much more gold stuff, better security. I left a steamer in there just for Biden. We went and coughed in all the top drawers.
Let's hear Biden. Come on, try it.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Like, I haven't found how to sound. I don't know. There's something about his cadence that is so hard to, like, pull off. Obama's was the easiest. Same with the Clintons. But holy crap, like, just the way that he says the stupidest shit, and there's no, like, telling which direction he's gonna go with it. So it's one I'm gonna have to work on.
I mean, come on, you could try and tell us the story at Corn Pop.
The way he likes him rubbing on his legs. I love the way those kids rub on my. What the fuck are you on about, man? Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
18 different research chemicals just to stave off the dementia while he's in public. That's what he's on about.
My favorite part is through all of this.
Grandpa Joe, you have to do Grandpa Joe with
So I have
a sense of the old world, and you have to reference, stuff that people our age don't really recognize. and you have to talk with your teeth together, like this. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get like some permanents put in so I can do a decent Biden impression.
Oh my god.
There's a buddy of mine in New Hampshire named Eric Jackman, and he's got a show with his brother, and the show is uniquely called Jackman Brothers Radio. But they do. Eric does a dead-on Donald Trump and an eerily accurate Alex Jones. And the last time he was
mean.
the last time he was on my show, he had Jones and Trump arguing with each other, and he was just cutting
Hook
back.
us up with that. We'll get
Oh.
me to come on and butt in as Obama just to drive him crazy.
Absolutely. I will set that up. I
That
will.
was my favorite part of the entire election, is when Biden goes to ask fucking Obama, like, if he should run for president. Not only does he tell him no, but then in the fucking interview the next day, he acts like he's never even heard of the man before. Like, they're like, oh, you know, do you think Biden should run for president? He's like, who? Oh, that was that guy that was working in my office for a while, yeah? Big teeth? Yeah, I know him. Sure, president sounds all right.
Wow.
That's weird.
No, he did. Like he's exaggerating a little bit, but he did actually really say like, "No, you shouldn't run for president."
Joe,
Yeah,
you're an idiot. All right, let's just get that out. Joe, you're a fucking idiot. All right, there's no reason for you to be running for president.
He did literally say, like, to the media, he was asked, should Joe Biden run for president? He's like, no. Do you support Joe Biden for president? No.
I wouldn't trust Joe Biden to make me a sandwich, let alone run for president. Shit, when we were in the Oval Office, I wouldn't even let him in the same room. Who knows what he'd say?
Seriously though, if Joe Biden was anybody else's grandfather, after like the third time we got the call that he was naked in the freezer aisle at the grocery store again, we would make sure that he didn't have access to the car keys. And this man
Now
was
he's got nuclear codes.
Yeah. Like, I understand that he's a puppet. I do. I understand. I understand that it's like, for all I know, we've already got hologram Joe. You know, I don't know. I have not been in the room with Joe Biden.
QAnon theory.
Look, they've got to keep him alive for 2 years and a day, and then Camilla can be president for 10 years. If they keep him alive and in office for 2 years and a day, she can be in for a decade, and they're going to do that. However, they have to.
Right.
So if there's not some weekend at Joey's going on, I would be impressed with his longevity.
Where they just have him propped up with some like wires and shit to do press conferences.
Oh, yeah. If that. I mean, you get a decent impersonator and some plastic surgery, and you got Joe Biden.
All right, so the QAnons literally believe that Joe Biden is a hologram, right? And Trump is actually running the show at the White House.
Wait, I thought they did the
from
face-off thing.
Mar-a-Lago.
I thought they did a face-off thing where they like switched Biden and Trump's faces. I thought that was the latest QAnon thing.
No,
There's
I'm not kidding. This is what they really believe. This is what they really believe. Like, they really believe Trump is in control right now in the office of the former president, or whatever the hell it's named, right?
Yeah, he's running the world from Mar-a-Lago.
Right. And that Joe Biden is actually a hologram.
And so there's a whole like Grifto verse that sprung up in the ashes of Joe Biden getting inaugurated, or even after the 6th, really, when Trump threw everybody under the bus and Alex Jones was like, "Oh, Q is fucking bullshit," and blah 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 blah, all that stuff, and fucking like went off on the Buffalo Horn dude.
Yeah, what was that? Like, he freaked out on, and I was like, dude, these are your people. What do you do?
Oh my god, I saw the funniest fucking thing. Sleepy Josh, you gotta drop that in the chat. Like, it's hysterical, but it's a mashup with like just ridiculous trap beat of Alex Jones going off on that dude.
Yeah, but that is strange. What Alex Jones says about what Alex Jones did.
Hysterical.
Okay.
Well, Alex Jones is gonna look out for Alex Jones, and he saved his fucking ass.
Yeah, because he was
Like,
pitching Q on Joe Rogan. He said he knew him.
Trump's asshole, and then everybody in that sphere got involved with the Q grift because it was a fucking cash cow. And Alex Jones rode that wave, fucking, I'm talking to Q and fucking all that shit, dude. And like, it threw that crowd under the bus immediately when shit got a little bit too weird.
Yeah, like he had a no-limit tank and everything, not even a week before, and then, like, literally as soon as the stuff at the Capitol happened, he turned on them in that, like, same show. Like, he wasn't, like, with them 10 seconds before.
Yep. He's sitting there fucking like, fucking A. Jones, dude, that's hilarious. Well, like, immediately turning around with the megaphone, being like, "Don't go anywhere near the Capitol." Fuck yeah.
But CIA handlers are telling me it's gone too far.
Oh shit! I created the monster, and now it's coming to get me.
You think like his, the little thing in his ear is going off? His guy's telling him, "Pull out, number 183, pull out."
Who could have possibly foreseen this?
Okay, well, on Joe Rogan, he literally said, like, I can bring Q in right now. I can fly him in right now. He said that on air. Like, I think that 10 million people saw that interview.
What? On Joe Rogan?
Yeah, on Joe Rogan. He said, like, yeah, Q's got some stuff to say about it. And then Joe Rogan asked something. He said, like, I can fly him in right now, Q. That's what he said. And even pre-show, he was already discussing Q on Joe Rogan. I mean, that episode is up. You can. I think that's the second one with Alex Jones. Yeah.
That's fucking.
Dude, he lays that shit on so thick, and like, it kills me that people, anybody who watched the guy fucking 15, 20 years ago, that has seen the Alex Jones of the last decade, particularly the Alex Jones that started felching Donald Trump in 2015, should be like, what? But wait,
it doesn't seem like the same person. The like Bilderberg group, he used to be into some serious shit, and all of that is gone now. Like all credibility, all the work that he did, he's just a joke. But he used to be really into some good, like some real shit there.
And he turned it into a 4-year-long commercial for the election and re-election of Donald Trump. And fucking got on board with the Q grift because it was a gravy train, and now he's gonna fucking go wherever he guys like, dude. He'll find a way to.
I will still give this plug for him, right? He does an interview with David Duke, and it is the only real interview that I have ever seen of like an actual racist like that. You know what I mean? Like he gives him no fucking leeway. He asks all the questions that you want to fucking ask, and it's a really great interview. And fuck, man, he ruined like all of that. It was just bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Just bullshit.
Oh, he was a 9/11 inside job guy. I mean, there was back then he was. That's why I'm surprised he would like suck up to like the Republican Party so much in that sense, like the establishment so much, because he was actually attacking like George Bush and everything around the 9/11 times. So
yeah, he's the guy who InfoWars produced Loose Change and brought Dylan Avery in. That's why Burmis ended up working for InfoWars for that couple of years.
Alex Jones is listed as a producer. That's true.
And then he just controlled media. That paycheck must have been big.
He got funding from the Republican Party. He had to have.
Fuck yes, he did.
You know you're doing something wrong when you catch funding from the Republican Party. They have literally never funded anything positive.
He had to have, though. That's the thing, because like you remember when he went to the RNC? That's after that's right after he flipped. That whole
He was a keynote speaker at CPAC. Like a couple years in a row. Keynote speaker at CPAC.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there is no more obvious example of controlled opposition than Alex Jones. And you can tell clearly where he changes from one to the other.
We were in town for CPAC last year in D.C. It was the first week of Julian Assange's rendition hearing in February. And so we sent the Assange sign truck just to do laps around CPAC while we were there. But that was also the night before. There was Alex Jones had organized, I think I told the story already, but an emergency free speech summit over Roger Stone's indictment, and we ended up flipping that event into a Free Julian Assange rally. That was a crazy fucking room, because it was Jones drunk, and he was supposed to be on the wagon. Right, like he was like 6 weeks
hopped up on male vitality.
Fucking drunk and Vitamale or whatever that shit is, yeah. Like aggro juice, I don't fucking know. He was on it, and Enrique Tarrio was there, who we now know is an FBI asset for a decade, which everybody who looked at the Proud Boys could be like, it's somebody
this guy looks like a Fed to me.
You know, Nick Fuentes was there, and he's in deep shit for being in the Capitol. Who else was there? Gavin McStringbean McGinnis. He was there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Gavin McGinnis, and because I know this, you now have to. Okay? Gavin McGinnis had some nudes leaked, and
no.
Lil Gavin can best be described as a string bean. So Jason Burmis tells me this right before we walk into the venue. And I swear to God, fucking mustache wax and all, the first person I see is Gavin McGinnis. And Andrew, my partner at Action for Assange, like challenged him to a mustache off.
This is like
Gavin McGinnis
about this like the other week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. I got no. You got to finish it out now. You can't leave me hanging.
No, Gavin McGinnis just like stared at him for a hard, like, I don't know, 5 count or something like that, and then just immediately spun on a heel and walked off. But Michael Flynn Jr. was there. This crazy lady who was running against Nancy Pelosi was there. It was a really weird room. It was. Lee Stranahan was there, like fresh out of rehab and drunk as a lemur. Poor guy. This was, he hadn't quite made it back onto fault lines yet before they both let him and Garland Nixon left. Weird night, right before.
Just because you mentioned him, you mentioned Flynn, right? You know, since we were talking about Q as well, Michael Flynn is still pushing QAnon and stolen election. He's still pushing.
This is right when the narrative that Flynn was Q started getting floated around too. Was last year around this event.
Yeah,
I remember right.
Well, because he bent a knee to the whole psyop. You know, like the whole the storm or whatever. He changed his Twitter header image to be a storm. He bent the knee. thing. He did a whole bunch of other stuff too, like basically drawing them in.
Yeah, but half of these Q people were all over Flynn. I mean, they all had these 3 stars in their name and stuff.
Right.
They were very much involved with him. Like he was one. Yeah. So it was all about free Flynn and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it is.
Roger Stone as well, and he's
Yeah.
now in a little bit of trouble from being back at the Capitol. When you get a pardon like that, so he doesn't have any stipulations or any of that, like you're in off parole or any stuff like that when you leave, do you?
No. No.
No, but
no.
he
It's the,
will be in trouble for being there because it turned into a violent event. But I mean, he won't get in a lot of trouble for being there. I mean, as long as he wasn't involved in the riots.
Well, that's the deal. He's got like Proud Boys, I think, or 3%ers or something on each side of him, and then what I think a lot of these guys are going to get in trouble for, the higher ups, is funding. Just like any other funding of a terrorist organization, that's how they're gonna catch them.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Like
point.
the first thing they do is go for your money, and they know that's going to hurt these these people more than anything else.
Yeah, they're gonna go for the financing from 3%ers and for Proud Boys and everything, and they're gonna see who's funding all these organizations. And this is gonna be a long investigation and year.
Yeah, it's going to get weird. Where do you find out the Democrats that were supporting it?
That would be funny.
Yeah, you'll be surprised at where some of their funding comes from.
Georgie Spriggs asks in the chat, how is Commander X?
So X is good. Well, not good, but X is as good as X is getting right now. It looks like he's going to relocate so that he can be closer to medical facilities. That move should be happening. I can actually, I can tell you. Give me a moment, and all.
Well, I know that crew from Mexico is doing a lot of stuff for him, and they're a good help to him. So that's what I know about it.
Yeah.
They're
So,
Before you
yeah,
broadcast,
hopefully here in a few.
broadcast that. That's the
Hopefully
question.
here in a few. Hopefully here in a few weeks, he'll be settled into a new place closer to where he can get some better medical care.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say location. I was like, no, don't do it.
Hell no!
No, better not. No.
Come on, man. That's funny though.
I
Yeah,
thought you
that's
were.
fine.
Like, you seemed like you were. I was like, wait.
I'm sure there were so many computer screens that just lit up. He's gonna give a location.
That's good
He's gonna
shit.
give a.
That's good shit. That's fucking funny. Oh, I'm glad it came out that way. That's even better.
Psych your mind. You could almost visualize them bringing out their pens and papers.
That's hysterical. That is.
Let's get that team on standby.
Right? Fucking love that guy. They give him up. Jesus. That's funny.
You can always tell a real group of hackers when they're all like, "Oh, how's Commander X doing?" And everybody's like, "Who?" Never heard of him.
No, well, Lubers was there. He came on my show a little while ago to give what he believes is his last interview.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, he did talk for hours in a row. He wasn't coming over as being like all done with it. He had so much to tell still, but yeah.
Yeah, that wore his ass out. He was wrecked for like 3 days afterwards.
He said he was sick and ill on Twitter. I saw that and retweeted it. I mean, I had my differences with X in the past and everything, and trolling him. He once claimed he was a fucking wizard. All right, he once claimed he was a goddamn wizard.
You cannot prove that Commander X is not a fucking wizard. You cannot prove to me he is not a wizard.
I'm serious. He really did. I had he want me to not. I could not troll him after finding out that he literally made a webpage and said that he was a wizard. Like, I had to fucking.
Have you seen that beard? That man is a wizard.
He could be a wizard.
Yeah, you don't want to be
He said he was
perfectly
a
honest.
time-traveling fucking wizard. Come on, man. Like,
No,
I
you
had-
started.
You are
started
going
this
to- you
shit
are going to have a hard-
define wizard. All right.
You're
see
gonna have a
dude in
harder
robe with
time
a beard, he
proving
is
to
a
me
wizard.
X is not a wizard than you are proving to me that X is a wizard. I'm just saying,
he
like,
hates that shit. He hates that shit so bad. Like, that's such a I eventually just said, I'm pretty sure I even mentioned that on the air when he was on here with us, Mark.
When I close my eyes today, I can still see X underneath a bunch of fucking bushes in the middle of the Mexican desert, right? He is a fucking wizard, no doubt.
Oh, he's a wizard. Like how he ever got out of the U.S. and stuff. There's no
Yeah,
wizardry
he avoided
involved.
He avoided the Eye of Sauron for like 10 years.
No, I mean, honestly, like, he had this old blog, and he said he was a wizard that could time travel and read tarot cards, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? Is this real? What is this? And
okay, well, look, if you can time travel, chances are you can read tarot cards. So at that point, it's just kind of bragging, isn't it?
Yeah, it's redundant. It's redundant.
Anyway, like, I got nothing bad to say about the guy anymore. Besides that, I mean, like, we've all done our stupid things in the past, but I mean, that was just.
He could be just trolling, okay? I mean, it's a good troll.
No, yeah. It was trolling.
He
people.
could have been playing a killer game of fucking D&D. You don't know. I'm a motherfucking wizard.
I don't know. It's like
I would easily believe that X spent significant amount of time around a D&D board.
I mean, honestly, he was just looking for a way to.
A lot of ass.
And I understand that, and that's why I don't fucking knock the guy, even though it was a scam. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about him besides that. I mean, he's in bad condition, and I don't really wish ill on anybody in life at all. I mean, unless you're a fucking child rapist, then then you deserve the worst. But
I hope you get hit by a bus, a school bus.
that would be karma, right? You got hit by a school bus. But
That's what I'm hoping for.
yeah.
The people that he's got taking care of him though are absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I saw that. They're like supporting him so much. They're running his social media accounts and stuff. It's great. Yeah, well, there's plenty of things you can say about Axe, but I mean, he's been around forever with us, and he's done many good things.
The man's a champion, which is why I like to bring a little bit of a levity to it, because when you look at the struggle that he has fought just to speak the truth, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, it seems when you read his story, it seems like a fucking superhero. It really does.
Yeah, well, and that's also how he tells it, but that has also purpose behind that, right? It needs to be attractive for people to listen to, and it needs to be an exciting story, and yeah, that also gives more attention to Anonymous, right, as a movement and all these things. So yeah.
And I don't know, the standoff with the U.S. government. I mean, getting not only the Mexican government, but to do it all under the Anonymous flag as well. Like, just awesome. Sorry, just awesome.
No, he isn't lying about anything. he isn't lying about anything. He's just telling it in a great way. Yeah, he's a good storyteller in that sense. And
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's part of a good story, right? Like that's why the stories where we do get a win seem so amazing, but part of it is how it's told.
yeah, but look, we're also like being censored all the time, and like many of the stories don't get out, and many of the people, and I mean, right now there are Anons in jail still. I mean, and some big names we know that, for example, Jeremy Hammond is released and stuff, but there's people like Axel who is in jail right now for defending Free Catalonia, and such
I
people.
thought he was still in prison. I thought he was extended.
Yeah, who? Jeremy Hammond or?
Yeah, Hammond.
No,
He's in a halfway house.
Yeah, he's out. I know there was a little bit, maybe for the viewers, because I know there was a bunch of questions, and I think even we were tagged in some questions just asking how he was, and like he is out, but as you can imagine, you have to lay low after you're out of prison, right? You can't start doing interviews and all of that. It's better if he gets some time to get away from all of this.
Well, and he's still in a halfway house.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they've
right
got all
now-
sorts of stipulations when you can and can't go, how many times, who you can contact, all of that stuff, and it's just not good for anybody for him to be fucking right away back into some bullshit.
No, those places are designed to send you right back to where you just got out of.
Yeah, for that reason we're
Like,
not
they-
going to touch it with tap football yet. For that reason we can't
Yeah.
touch it yet. I mean, after he's out of there, then we can. I mean, otherwise we'd already
Every
find him.
time we open the vigil, we do like we run down like the number where I did earlier with the days since he was dragged out of the embassy. But we've been since Jeremy was released. You know, we have like 2 little bright spots in our numbers because the rest of it's horrific. But we have the days that Chelsea Manning has been out of jail, and the days that Jeremy's been in his halfway house. But if anybody knows how long that's supposed to last, will you let me know? Because we'd like to be able to let people know also, like, that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, is it a 90-day thing? Is it a 6-month thing? They don't usually keep you in a halfway
It
house.
depends what stipulations they put on it. So when they let him out, they'll give you a list of things that you have to abide by, how long you have to stay there, what you have to do.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, I know.
they
I'm just
locked,
asking if anybody knows.
they locked Red Fawn back up because she was a grown woman, right? 30-something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they locked her back up because she didn't go to a GED class.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And like she's someone that could have, she could teach you a class on Native history, right? And they locked her back up because she didn't attend the GED class. I think she was 32 or 33 at the time. So they'll have a bunch of stipulations on how long, when you can go, where you can work, who you can have contact with, all that shit when they let him out.
Yeah, that's insane. And the thing is, like, again, he wasn't locked up for drugs. He was locked up for hacking-related crimes that literally the FBI entrapped him and gave him to hack into a server. Again, the FBI gave him the exploits to hack into Stratford's server. Again, they gave him the exploits to hack into Stratford's server.
Yeah, that is exactly right. I mean, especially, Sabu was already involved long before that with the FBI, so...
And Sabu, through the FBI, got exploits, and Sabu gave the exploits to Jeremy Hammond, who then hacked into Stratford.
Yeah, look,
Which
but
is
look,
why-
we had our doubts about Sabu long before that even. Do you remember that he was on Skype? I was talking. We were talking on Skype, and he was sending conversations between FBI agents, audio conversations. He supposedly hacked. Okay, I just literally just got thrown out, like, at the exact moment talking about Sabu. Like, instantly. Yeah, I was saying, we were talking on Skype, and he had literal conversation between FBI agents he supposedly hacked. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that like, it's amazing that people. I don't know who is still working with him, or is he just used as a puppet? You know, he says whatever they need him to say, or lies about whatever he needs them to lie about.
Are we still live, or did that cut us off?
No, we're live. I was just thrown out of Discord. I don't know. Good timing, I guess. Just repeat the same thing again. But
But that was a warning.
yeah, well, I mean, he's been around all this time. It's not like saying anything new. We're selling like Fox Sabu T-shirts on the Cryptosphere. I mean, Lorraine was selling those. So I don't know.
That shirt's hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny.
Yeah, that's all, folks. Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's hilarious.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, sorry guys, it dropped out for a second there. When we talk about Sabu, it's just like, I don't know what happens then. But yeah, no, he works for some white hat company now, some security company, I don't know. He's still in the open now, right, with his own name, so. He doesn't even feel guilty about anything, it is just...
CIA Inc.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, disgusting, by the way.
Working. What was that? What was that company fucking Buttigieg was running?
Oh, the Shadow Inc.
There you go, Shadow Inc. That
That was
like a
the
fucking
app
company
that
he
they
worked
used for the Iowa primary, and the Shadow app, owned by Shadow Inc. Shadow Inc. is a subsidiary of, I promise you, Acronym. Acronym
Nice.
is the parent company of Shadow. Yeah, it's cute. It is. It's adorable.
Yeah.
And people like this happens in real time, and people report on it in real time, and then the next day everybody wakes up and goes, "Oh, it's time for the New Hampshire primary now. Let's go and talk about that."
And it's like they don't
Wait,
even
what?
hide it. Like, you decided to make a company that was called Shadow Inc. And then everybody's surprised that maybe they're up to no good. Right? It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, they're not trying to hide it. It's just in our faces saying, we're going to do it. Fuck you.
It just reminds me of Star Wars, where nobody can figure out who the Sith is. Maybe it's the guy in all black. That, right? Like, it's right in front of you, but you don't see it. I'm not telling you that, you should judge, a book by its cover, but I'm saying the guy that keeps on going, yes, every couple of minutes might be the evil guy. We can't figure out who the Sith is. I'm pretty sure it's that dude. Look, check him out. He's got fucking electricity coming out of his fingers and a black cloak. He's totally the bad guy.
Yeah, but look, that cloak probably generates a lot of static, and the rooms have these thick carpets, so it could be something other than unlimited power. It could be, and maybe if he got a different cloak. I don't know.
I'm just saying that dude looks
Let's-
obviously evil.
Let's not be hasty.
Yeah,
Let's not be hasty.
Again, it's just Karl Rove, and he's just trying to steal another election. Just let him be.
There wasn't a
the
company
safest
called
to
the
do
Free
is
and Open
probably
Elections.
to give him
Inc.
control of the Imperial Senate. If he has control of that, of the entire Intergalactic Federation, then we'll be able to keep an eye on him, and some of the people will be able to push him to the left a little bit.
So just give him unlimited power. That always works out well.
Guys, should we smear Sabu a little more because we got thrown out because of it?
Oh yeah.
We should talk some more shit about Sabu, seriously.
Well, I mean, what else do you
So the
call
Department
a
of
fucking
Justice-
federal snitch?
I just want to say it's not done in the hacker world to do any of this.
Expert witness is what you call him, because his testimony and Siggy's testimony make up the bulk of the superseding indictment that the DOJ relied on for some of their let's all of the sudden reintroduce some shit from Stratfor and the LulzSec hacks into this superseding indictment.
Yeah.
Against Assange.
Yeah, they said that fucking Julian Assange tried to hack Iceland when it was Siggy who Sabu was talking to while both of them are under control of the FBI. In what fucking court is that going to go and say, "Oh, those are legitimate witnesses"? They were both under the damn control of the feds.
Yeah, but that's about how they
So-
work. That's pretty much the same as Fast and Furious, right? Where you've just got two of your federal agencies selling guns and drugs back and forth to each other. Like you can't find an actual hacker, so you just hack each other.
Government and espionage at this point can be reduced to that meme of Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man.
We've got a problem with drugs and guns in our country. Have you considered stop selling them? That's got to be step one, right?
It is sad that
but if you don't,
it's sad that the Sabu shit is still being used now after like a decade, and still Sabu is doing this damage to the community, right?
Well, I think the last thing that he came up with, like the headline was like government, you know what I mean? Government informant, ex-hacker government informant spills on like recent hack or something. Like they named him as a government informant in the actual news story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
So there is one thing it correlates with. But AK, you remember this, like the story about Trick, right? So Trick went to the Middle East and supposedly joined ISIS. I know he joined the local, local rebel group there, and eventually ended up at ISIS. But then there was this Russia League hacker Shmoop. He's still active too, I think. He baited Trick into clicking a link, so his geolocation was known, and then the U.S. Army droned Trick. He was killed.
Yeah, I got some information on that I'm not going to say on air.
No, but I want to say like this guy, who was from the hacker community and knowingly snitched on Trick his location. This guy, he felt so sorry about it. He kept apologizing about it, and he said like he made the worst mistake. He sold out a brother, even though his brother went to the other side, joined the other side. This is not practice you do in the hacker community. And Sabu has never felt sorry about anything. But this guy felt sorry about it, and he made so many apologies about it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. It's just like...
Well, and
Sabu
you
is a
don't know
smear.
what they're going to use this information for. You know, you saw from the Capitol attack, you saw from all of this other shit, they are tracking your phones. So you give somebody that kind of information, and they're, you know, you have a chance of not being, you know, hurt or beaten up or arrested in the U.S. Outside of the U.S., you run a good chance of getting fucking drones.
Yeah, but this guy thought it was his friend, right? So he clicked the link. He thought it was his friend. Because they were friends before that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. He sent him a link to grab his IP and geolocation, and then they droned him. And then, you know, like, yeah, that whole situation. But as far as the Capitol situation goes, they literally not only had locations of everybody that was there, but it shows videos that are geolocated to each phone.
Well, yeah, and that's what I don't understand. So, like, then what was the whole point of these, like, FBI, have you seen this person, have your neighbors turn you in bullshit, right? Which is normally their style. If you see something, do something, right? Turn in your neighbors. But, you know, I feel you do what you got to do, whatever. But the point is that if you already had everybody's IPs in their phones, then what was the deal with all of that? You already knew where everybody was.
Supposedly, the real story is that a independent contractor did that, but I think that was done by the NSA. I mean, come on, like, you really think one person did that?
What the fuck does an independent contractor mean? So because you hired someone to do it for you, that it doesn't count? Like, what does that mean?
No. The website was created supposedly by a rogue individual. That's what I mean. But that's bullshit.
Yeah, I guess whatever. I mean, if it's that okay, if a rogue individual can do that, we have to believe that you're not. And then, if you know that there's known terrorists all over our country, why aren't you doing it? Like all of those questions get asked right away.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's obvious it was done by the NSA, and then they just kind of showed their hand and said, "Well, if you guys are going to do this, just know that we have all your information."
Yeah, make sure if you're protesting a pipeline, we know where all of you live, right? If you're protesting whatever you're protesting, if you're speaking out about the government, if you don't like us censoring you, if you don't like us if you don't like an ICE facility, if you don't like our secret fucking torture facility in the middle of Chicago, right? We're tracking your phone. We know where you live, right? Is that what the message is?
Essentially.
Yeah. It's just disgusting because in the hacker community, people like you base yourself on trust only, and Anonymous Sabu was very much respected in the community at some point, so he could reach a lot of people.
I had conversations with him about movies, music, all that shit. I'm not going to go into any other conversations.
I wasn't respected by all, but I mean, he made quick fame.
The funny thing is, I talked to him before, and then he was weird. He literally told me stop messaging me or whatever. I mean, he said basically I'm a high profile target, blah 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 blah. Something like that. I don't have the messages exactly because it's on the old account, so I can't really look and check, but. Essentially, I was talking to him about movies and music and shit because he posted a music song. I think it was called "Anonymous" by B1333 at the time, and I was talking to him about that, and then he gave me all these comments about don't message me, this and that. Randomly, we were having a conversation, and then he just switched off to that, and I don't know if that was him trying to protect me or I don't know.
I think so, because at some point he was approached, and a deal was made, right? He wasn't always with them, but you don't have to sell out everyone when you do that. He makes some deal because they threatened to take away his kids or whatever. He never sees his kids again. But you don't have to sell out everyone. That's not how it works, right? Why would he sell out every fucking one? 10 years later, we're still dealing with the bullshit he caused.
Well, you remember in 2019 how when he came back on the scene and some old Bullset guys got together and hacked his webcam was posting his pictures.
Yeah. No, but I mean so you make a deal with these people, why not feed them disinfo or whatever if you're a hardcore person? They won't know the difference. You can just feed them fake logs or whatever. With hackers involved they can never find, right? I mean, why not use your brain on things? Show some kind of loyalty.
Well, I mean, they were there monitoring everything he fucking did, so I don't think he could have done that. But yeah, I mean, there are some people in LulzSec who are never caught. Everybody knows that. And there's some people in LulzSec who are also snitches. Should I? We'll go in that.
Yeah, okay, well, there was a lot of shady stuff going on there, right? I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
But some of these people are still active, so you're saying...
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those people who are still active and around, they know who the other snitch is. They know.
Yeah, but they also know we know about some stuff, and so, but we don't get in their sailing waters. They don't enter ours, right? We do our own stuff, and they better just stay away from us.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of the people that were involved in LulzSec, and I also know who the other snitch is, and people have talked and told me things and all of that. That I'm not going to say on the air, but yeah, I mean, there's other people who are around, and they have been involved in other high-profile hacks. I'll put it that way. And they never got caught. So, I mean, those are the smart people who understand how to actually hide yourself online with obfuscation and everything, using VPNs and chaining your VPNs into a VPS server and operating from the VPS server, not from your own home computer.
Yeah, but our approach also changed now, right? I mean, after all that stuff, our approach changed into like we're doing legal stuff here. We're doing legal protests. We're getting legal help for arrested activists. That's what we do now, and we build things and we try to educate people on things. That's our approach now. I mean, what else can we do in 2021?
Well, yeah, I mean, like for instance, with when I was involved with GhostTech and everything, going after ISIS and all of that jazz. I mean, like, I haven't done anything against any foreign computer system in a long fucking time. I mean, I could. I still have some of the knowledge to do it. It's not hard. Like, people think hacking is hard, but all you literally have to find is an exploitable software on a system, and then look up how to exploit that software and run the exploit.
Yeah, or exploitable people, right? And I mean that's the Sabu example too.
Right.
Reverse engineered exploiting people, exploiting hackers, and making them trust you. Right? That's the thing.
Well, yeah, that's true too. But I mean, like, most people think like hacking is like Exploit DB literally has all the exploits that you need, and like I haven't touched any type of foreign computer system in a long fucking time. I mean, been like 8 years. Fuck, man, like a long time. But anyway, I mean, we focus on activism and legal resistance. I mean, but the people who are still out there hacking, I mean, kudos to them. I mean, it's needed, but you know, so is what we're doing. You know, being able to bring attention to certain causes and act as journalists for the people and not for corporate power.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring it back to, I don't think we have the luxury of eliminating options. I'm not saying that like we have to partake in all of them put together individually ourselves. I'm just like, all available options need to be on the table because the predator class is united in a way that they have not really been, I don't know, in at least not longer.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say we don't educate people on things, but that's completely legal, right? I mean,
well, yeah, especially for educating people on how to protect themselves online. I mean, because being on the other end of that, you know how to protect your identity online and protect your IP address, so you can't actually get hacked. You know, like that's the positive of educating people on security and, you know, defensive security as opposed to offensive security.
yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, and you know, this, you can take this as you will, but just because we're saying this now on these identities doesn't mean we could show up as actual anonymous, because that's what anonymous is. Anonymous can be anybody, and it's literally, if you're anonymous, that's how anonymous actually does real hacks, is being anonymous. not cheering on, not saying, "Oh, I did this or that." It's anonymous, and that's how things have always been. And within the whole collective, most people know if there's a big hack and it gets shared around. If you claim that hack, you're probably going to go to jail. So you don't claim hacks, and yeah, just a little up new blood education.
Yeah, well, and it's not just to stay safe when you're like hacking or whatever, but we have journalists and activists in war zones and in very dangerous places in the world who just need to learn about how to stay private and safe when they submit documents to media or whoever wants to publish things. So it's very important.
We're working on a big story in the middle of a war zone, and not being able to be found by the enemy or by the government. I mean, it's the same thing goes for just activists on the ground. I mean, you need to be able to communicate with each other. Whether or not we support your cause or not doesn't fucking matter. It matters that you're able to communicate securely with each other for whatever reason, because it's not like a encryption is not like a blanket thing. It's not like you can support this, but you can't support that. I mean, there's bad people who use encryption too. They like pedophiles. They use encryption to share child pornography with each other, and they've done it for a long fucking time. And we keep going after them, and and by we I mean Anonymous. Anonymous just keeps going after all pedophiles that they find using encryption, using Telegram, using fucking Wicker, using Mega.nz to share files. They use all these different mediums, and that's what the establishment comes back with too. I mean, they say, "Oh, well, we should ban encryption because of pedophiles." It's like, no, that's like banning cars because people run people over with cars. It's a tool, and
that's
that's like banning knives.
Yeah,
Knives. Knives. People get stabbed, so we should ban knives. No.
Yeah, well, I said that in the past about Tor too. I mean, here in the Netherlands, they wanted to ban Tor too and said it was for pedophiles. And it was very simple to respond to that. And I say like, yeah, but you don't ban cars because a pedophile can abduct a child with it. You can't ban cars for that. That's not how it works. The journalists and activists need to use this. There's plenty of people who use this. Well, plenty. I mean, the huge majority of people use it for legitimate means. Systems like Tor. People don't trust surveillance. The governments anymore because they're like involved with all these surveillance things, and it's even corporate surveillance now, right? It's just as dangerous now. Facebook and whatever, everything is being surveilled by these people.
Well, I mean, I would have to disagree with you and say that Tor, yes, we need Tor, but it's not. Majority of people using it aren't using it for legitimate purposes. Majority of people using Tor are using it to buy drugs.
Jan Flood says Jordan Central are promoting the war regime change in Syria. What's all that about?
Again?
Yeah, do we really have to talk about Jordan Central now? I mean,
are they promoting the war in Syria again after Biden became president? Come on, guys, really?
Yeah, they're going to push for it again. Jordan Central is always on the fucking front lines of it. I thought Sparta would not do that stuff.
I thought he would realize by now that it's literally just government, trying to take advantage of a situation. I mean, let the people decide. There does not need to be U.S. military invading Syria. And I know they're in Syria now. I know that Biden deployed more troops.
Yeah, well, they lost my respect in that sense when they started saying that the clovers were some kind of Nazi symbol. That we were all like part of like some Nazi group, and then I confronted them about it, and then they apologized. But if we didn't confront them, they would have be running with that. That is, yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, do they understand that there's multiple factions in Syria that could be doing those chemical weapons attacks, and that there's no way in hell that Assad would have done the last one, where at the same time there was an investigation ongoing about the chemical weapons attacks, and then there's a chemical weapon attack? I mean, like, come on.
Did they not read the WikiLeaks drops on the Duma attacks?
Oh, well, you see, UN Central and WikiLeaks, they have a history together.
I know. I did being an ass, but
Yeah, I just want to say, like, real quick, for whoever you were asking that listener, like, Anam is not a group, right? We can't decide what they say and what they can't say, but they can't decide that for us either, and we're not advocating for a regime change in Syria. So, yeah, we're not a group, so whatever. Just don't follow them anymore, or whatever. You can block them. I think it's good for you.
It's a collective idea, and I mean, like, we can't control what they say, but I mean, we could tap them on the shoulder and be like, wait, what? Why are you promoting war again? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, well, we disagree with Sparta often. I mean, sometimes he's helpful too. I mean, he promoted the Milmass March Discord server, for example. Like, he brought like 2,000 members in one night to it. Just saying. But yeah, I don't agree with that kind of stuff. Like, they push a different narrative, and we don't push that narrative. At least I don't. But yeah. They speak. Like, it's not even about that narrative, but they choose a specific narrative, and Yornan News does it too. They choose a specific narrative, like one side of politics, and then how they justify it is saying like, yeah, we choose the lesser of evil. But I'm not part of that kind of mindset. Like, we can distance from all evil. We don't have to pick the lesser of evil. Okay, yeah, simple.
The thing is, what's going to change if you allow the U.S. to invade Syria? I mean, are things going to be better? No. But what's going to happen when they don't have a legitimate leader to replace Assad with? Maybe another Libya?
or another Iraq in 2006.
Yeah, you pull these areas in an unstable situation, and that's what they want, I think, because that makes resources cheaper. Because if you have a stable government, the stable government will decide, like, we ask a little bit more for this oil, right?
Chaos favors the people in power.
Yeah, I think it was the old Rockefeller who once said that you only have to buy when the blood is running through the streets, I think it was the old Rockefeller who said that.
Yeah, that was him, and also Warren Buffett. Yeah.
Yeah, so you buy when the blood is running in the streets.
Yeah, right. Which it's not technically wrong. I mean, if the market is completely red and you buy, I mean, it's gonna go back up. Not all the time, but it's usually a good time to buy to make a profit. But I mean, in their sense of what they're saying is fucked up. Like, but Syria, man, like, I mean, it's such a complex situation, and to cheer on the invasion of Syria is not a good thing. Like, it's one thing if you're cheering on the people in Syria fighting against Assad. Great. I don't have a problem with that. Assad is not a good angel either. I mean, he's not. But you have to understand that there can also be other factions that are fighting back against Assad that are staging chemical weapons attacks on their own people. And there's proof of that. It's not like I'm just saying it. The White Helmets, you know, they got caught doing a lot of dirty shit. That was according to a UN event where they met at the UN and they discussed whistleblowers discussed the white helmets and trafficking and organ trafficking and false chemical weapon attacks and fake media propaganda and everything else.
Yeah, well, all you can safely say, I think, about Syria is that it's just a big mess there, and there's a lot of people trying to benefit from the situation, a lot of governments. So before you know the full story, yeah, you can't just advocate for regime change. I mean, what the hell are these people doing? Like,
right, it's a massive clusterfuck. I am getting tired. Holy fuck! It's what? Alright, well guys, it's been fun, but it's really late.
We're close to 4 hours again.
Yeah, I should bounce too. I have a show in the morning. Vanessa Beeley will be with us in the morning, and that will be lovely.
That'll be slow news day.
It's true.
So jump on. YouTube, I think, is the main thing, or Rockfin. You have to, right?
It'll be on both, but really, I have no idea why I still have a YouTube channel, and I have no idea how long that's gonna last. So, I encourage people to go make the free Rockfin account. I will always have some free content up there. If you dig it and you want the paywalled stuff, it's $10 a month, and you get everybody's premium content, not just mine.
No, you got everything on the entire site, right?
Yeah. And they created the platform for content creators. Like they really did. And they pay us out in Ray tokens, which are an offshoot of Ethereum, which is doing pretty fucking well right now.
Is that like based on like the amount of views or something you get, or?
There's a handful of different ways. So there's the paid subscription, right? And then there's followers, registered users, views, premium views, and you get like at least 1 or 2 tokens a day just for being a part of the network. And then based on when you became a part of the network, when Ray halves, and it will, then you get an additional kickback, and if you bring somebody onto the platform, you can get like $10 to $100.
Okay.
Like I got Whitney Webb to come on there, and I got $100 for that. And I told Whitney up front too.
Okay, well, like like with Anons, we don't make any money or whatever. But I mean, for your show, I mean, I know it's necessary to keep running, right? Because YouTube is going to censor you, and the Rockfin is like an independent platform, and it needs to survive. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's like the answer to YouTube. It's not, but if you can, and you're able to, while we have an independent media, if you can facilitate your ability to get truth out through that platform and still stream for free for 99% of your content, I don't personally have a problem with that. Okay. Especially the number of the people that I know that are on the platform roll their money directly into activism of some form.
Hey, so what time are you? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean those are just the people that like I personally know and I personally like hang out with and shit like that. Like they all roll their cash back into their activism or our power activism and shit like that.
Hey, so what time are you broadcasting with Vanessa Beatty?
Oh, it'll be 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast and 10 o'clock in the morning here in fucking ridiculous California. God, I can't wait to move out of the state. I cannot wait to move out of this state.
Okay, well,
Fuck Gavin Newsom.
Okay, well, we'll just end the stream, I think.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, so if you're interested in hearing Vanessa Beatty and Steve talk tomorrow, then tune in. Just, I guess you can just search for Slow News Day, Vanessa Beatty. I guess you'll find it.
Don't forget to spay and neuter all your politicians and lobbyists. It's a much needed service, and you have to do it.
Tori, I've been listening all this time. Say something.
Well, I think everybody should go off grid.
Okay, well, that makes
Start
sense.
growing their own vegetables, and stop getting distracted by politicians.
Okay. So that's a good final message, I guess. So, thanks everyone for listening and for sticking with us for this long again. And if you feel like it, please share it around.
Buy Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.